Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Firefighters podcast, where we seek to develop, inspire, and motivate the world of the emergency services operator through a series of wide-ranging conversations. Now, before we go any further, just hit that rate, follow, or subscribe button on whatever platform you're listening to. It's a key performance indicator for us and helps us reach even more people. Now, here's what we've got for you today. Now, in September 2022, I was lucky enough to board a flight to Vietnam, where I'd be jumping in swamps, climbing up hills, and taking on one of the toughest challenges with an entire group of incredible, crazy, quirky, amazing, and inspiring individuals who I'm lucky enough to call my friends, as we all went over and took part in SAS Who Dares Wins. Now, with any kind of TV production, they are always constrained to fit the absolute best bits into a short window of time. So as you won't be surprised to hear, there is so much more to these individuals than meets the eye. So on this mini series of podcasts, you get to listen in as I catch up with this incredible group of people. We discuss the good, the bad, and the ugly as it comes to SAS Who Dares Wins, our favorite instructors, our biggest challenges, and also learn a little bit more about what drives them, what inspires them, and how this journey was for them. It's been so much fun reminiscing and catching up. So if you are sitting comfortably, let's buckle up for safety and get in there with today's episode. I'll see you on the other side. There she is.
Hello. Wait 1 second. Let me get my camera on. Listen, I'm in my car right now.
Where the hell are you? What are you doing? Are you getting drenched?
No, so I was training and I just came from training and I have to pick up my little one. So I'm outside my little one's nursery. But I'm like thinking, if I don't get this out the way, I will never do it.
Babe, you're just so goddamn busy. I love it.
You know what? It's just because I don't have time on my own. Do you know what I mean? So I could speak to you, but I'm going to be with my little one and she's going to be screaming in the background.
Right.
So that's going to be a
baby, that's life. I've got 3 babies. I've got a puppy. I've got 2 horses. There's always someone around trying to invade and steal your time.
No, but I didn't want to do it when she was around because I would have never got it done, honestly.
How are you?
Yeah, I'm all right. I just came from training and yeah, good. I've got a bit of a cold actually. I think there's a flu going round. Everyone's just been getting ill. So
it's the changing weather. You know, it's got a little bit colder. You know, all of the humidity, all the rains come pouring in. Everyone has that little transition now as we start eating a little bit too much and heading into the winter and looking forward to Christmas. How's the training going now?
Good, yeah, good. By the way, are you going to record the video, the face as well?
No. We don't record.
Oh, good.
Don't worry. Joking. Well, I'm sat in my little study with the heating blew out this morning, so I'm like freezing. I've just put a fleece on. I'm down them. This episode of the podcast is brought to you by Gore-Tex Professional Fabrics. Now, we all know the working environment of a firefighter is filled with challenges. We face serious risks on the job, such as heat exhaustion, burns, physical and mental stress, and we frequently come into contact with high levels of toxic chemicals. Now, I've been wearing Gore-Tex for nearly 2 decades on the front line, working in hostile environments, tackling challenging incidents from firefighting to water incidents and in urban search and rescue environments. Gore-Tex have a well-earned reputation for protecting professionals in the fire and emergency services through their family of highly innovative, waterproof, breathable moisture barriers that exceeds global performance standards and are trusted worldwide. Gore-Tex, going further together. How is your training going then? Because you were big into training before you came onto it. How's your body felt recovering from all?
Yeah, good. I think after a week, my body started feeling. When did I start training? I think I started training when was it? So I got back to England on Wednesday, and then Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I was done, and then Monday I started training again. But I was still really tired. Not body tired, as in mentally tired. I was still the reason why I wanted to get into it is because I wanted to get my routine back. I'm so rubbish.
Yeah, 100%. They're anchors, aren't they? Training is like a pillar of consistency in your life.
That's what it is. So I was like, you know what, let's start. And it wasn't nothing crazy. It was just something to ease me back into the routine. And I think that week I trained probably 3-4 days. But that week I was still tired. And it wasn't only until the week after, which is it this week? No,
I think we're 2 and a bit weeks out now.
Yeah. So it wasn't after that week that I finally felt my actual self. Do you know what I mean? I was like, oh
I think
wow, I
there's so
feel
many phases of things that your body kind of goes through. Because I don't know if I'm speaking to everybody else, it's that cognitive load that I think most people
yeah.
didn't anticipate. Because whilst there was loads of
Mhm.
physical exertion that we did on it, it's more of a mental game than it was anything else. Had you done anything like this before?
No, never. And I was so surprised because when I was going into the thing, like into the course, I was thinking, you know what? My weakness is going to be the physical side. That's what's going to kill me.
You
But
really thought that?
I actually thought that, I was
People
like,
would
that's what's
not
going to
think
let me
that
down.
looking at you. I'm not
It's,
blowing smoke up
yeah,
your ass, but
I
you train.
know.
You know
But
what I mean. You're not some swamp donkey like me, huge. You never train. You were one of the fitter people on the course, but you genuinely had reservations about the fitness side of it.
yeah, like that's what I thought because the thing is, I had watched a few episodes before, and the things that they do, like in my head, I would think, oh my gosh, how are they doing that? Because don't get me wrong, I love training and I know I'm fit and I know that I can push myself through certain things, but I would literally be like, whoa, that looks tough. You really need some toughness in you. And when it would come to the mental stuff and like, the interrogation, I'm thinking in my head, oh, yeah, that's fine. And it would come to the fitness side, I was like, no, that is hardcore. So all I was doing was training, getting myself ready for the fitness stuff, and I just completely disregarded all the mental stuff. I was like, yeah, you know what? That's going to be fine. And
I'm not sure
that
it's stuff you
was,
can like consciously train for.
oh, no, you can't.
Obviously, I was never lucky
100%.
enough to get to that side of it, but it was only through things like I've done with international search and rescue or some of the other courses that I've been on. If you had to try
Yeah.
and do it on your own, I think that cognitive side, especially the sleep deprivation, is something. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, you've got kids, so you probably had an aspect of sleep deprivation yourself, but
Yeah.
some people really struggle with those. Was there any specific physical training you'd done for it? How were you training for it?
What, for the actual horse, like
Yeah,
fitness
yeah.
wise? There wasn't any specific training. I was just doing a lot of hit, and I knew it was things like, I don't know, like hiking for long periods of times, going up hills and things like that. So I was sticking a lot to hit training, and obviously I was still boxing training, so I think that was helping me through, especially with the press ups and things like that. And then we got that training plan from them
Yes,
as
they got us
well.
to do some rucks and some. A lot of it was hit style training, and then just some
Yeah,
weighted ruck runs
yeah,
and stuff, wasn't it?
yeah, it was. And obviously I've got a background in athletics, and I've always been like, middle distance slash long distance runner. So with that, with my long runs and stuff, those are the things that I really loved as well. So I was getting my long runs and things like that. But the worst thing when they threw in that swimming, oh
Yeah.
my gosh, I was stressing because I was like, I am not a swimmer. I literally only learned how to swim when I was 16 because I
Really?
had drowned before in front of my school,
No
in front of my
way.
class. Yeah, yeah. So I was never a strong swimmer. So when we got sent those plans, I literally hit up a few friends of mine who are actual swimmers. And I was like, you know what, girl, you need to get me in that pool and like pound me in the pool. And that's how I was like, because I was thinking in my head, I still have, like, now I do know how to swim, but I still have that panic, deep down inside where it's like water based stuff. And I'm like, oh, my heart drops. And I was like, damn. So before that, I was like, I can't feel like that.
Yeah,
You
yeah, yeah.
have to be like confident in the water and stuff. So I was literally like telling my friends to just get me into the deep end. And she was like, literally, as soon as we get to the pool, jump into the deep end straight away. And I was so uncomfortable and I really did not want to, but I made myself do it. She helped me so much, my girl Kathleen, she really helped me. And I was swimming lengths and lengths after that, and I was like, wow, I've never swam so many lengths before. So I think all these
Swimming
stuff
is
were like
such a great addition to training. Like I
a
wasn't
hundred
until I had a
percent.
few injuries where I started swimming again, just to try and keep my fitness up, and like it was low impact doing it. And what it
Yeah.
does for your shoulders and your range of
Oh my
movement
god,
and your
yeah,
mobility, it's so fucking
yeah,
good for you. It's
a
really
hundred
good. It's just
percent.
a ball
And
ache to do it sometimes, isn't it? Because it's like
oh
there's more
yeah,
steps involved. You got to have somebody watch your kids, and you got to think about
yeah,
getting
get in the
changed, and
pool,
that's
yeah,
what I
all
mean.
that.
You can just walk in and out the gym in like 30 seconds, and
Yeah,
swimming just feels like a bit of
yeah.
a fuck about.
It does feel longer, especially for us girls. Get your hair wet, go and wash it, get it blow dried. It's so long, but it was so good, and especially for the breathing of the side of things as well. It was just, it's good. But
Talk
yeah,
to me
so I
about,
had
you
to
said you
like.
didn't learn to swim until you were 16. Talk to me about your upbringing. Where did you grow up?
So I've always been in London, in North London. So in Enfield since I was about 10. From 10 years old onwards, I've lived in Enfield all my life, North London. And yeah, so my primary school where I went, they didn't do any swimming lessons or anything.
No.
So we never went to the pool or nothing like that. And my parents are not great swimmers themselves. They just weren't ever like, they wouldn't even jump into a pool or the sea. They would take us to the seaside, but just to sit on the sand. They will never get in the water or anything. Like it was so weird. So I just, when you grow up just thinking, oh, like swimming is not really that
I
special.
know. I think there's such
Yeah.
a nature nurture argument there because, like, I always saw it as like one of those basic, not basic as in easy, but I mean like one of those
Yeah.
life skills. Like,
Yeah.
I wanted my kids to be able to
100%.
climb over a wall if they needed to. I wanted them to be able to swim, obviously
Yeah.
walk, clean themselves, and like that. They were
Uh-huh.
kind of the fundamentals. But I suppose that again, subconsciously, is a bias from how I've been brought up in the area that I lived in because
Exactly.
it's not as easily, it's not as accessible, and like you say,
No,
it's
I
probably just
yeah.
something that never enters your
Uh-huh.
life when you're growing up down there.
Oh yeah, 100%, definitely. And I don't know what it is. I think because well, obviously my parents are Colombian and stuff, so I think they have that. I don't know, like mentality of no one cares about that. Just
Yeah, just
you live
crack
on
on.
land. Just walk to your house and come back home. That's what I mean. So yeah, but for me, I think exactly like you. I got my daughter straight into swimming when she was like 6 months, and I was like, you're not going through the same problem that I've gone through. Like
Yeah.
for me, it was yeah. So I drowned when I was 16 in front of my class, and my teacher had to jump in and save me and rescue me.
Jesus.
And it was just more the embarrassment as well,
Right.
of coming out, and do you know what I mean, in front of the
Yeah.
class. But it was a nice feeling, and I'm those people that I'm like, no, that's not going to happen to me ever again. So after that, I literally made myself learn how to swim and get in the pool and things like that. So after that, I just kind of, took it from there to just make myself learn how to swim and just be confident in the water.
Yeah.
But obviously, since then, obviously it's on and off. So you don't go swimming for a long time and a few years, even though you know how to swim, but then you lose your confidence back in the water. So it's that up and down thing, isn't it? So when they said about this essay, it's like, yeah, you need to swim 40, I think it was like 45 lengths. And I was like, what? I was like, because the test that they made us do was just like 6 lengths. And then all of a sudden your training is 45 lengths. I was like, no. This is getting weird, obviously, because we don't know where we're going as well. So I was like, this is
Yeah.
getting very fishy. I need to get my swimming on point. So that's when I called my friend and I was like, look, you need to kill me in the water. But you know what? I think I'm a very fast learner.
Okay.
So as soon as we got in the water and like the more I went by the end of it, and it was like the 2 days before I was going to fly out, in the water, I was just swimming 35 lengths back to back.
Beautiful.
It was just crazy. And I was just like, whoa, I had never done that in my life. So for me,
Yeah.
it was like already an accomplishment to have done that. So, like, and I
So you
just
did lean
believe
into
as well.
athletics though. What was it
Hey?
about? You said you leaned into athletics when you were younger. What did
Oh,
you do
yeah.
in terms of that, and where did that take you?
So when you're in primary school and you have all those school competitions and things like that, and slowly you start learning that you're always number one
Yeah.
in like every school race or every this, and people start choosing you to do races and you're enjoying it as well. So I was just really good, like, and I was really enjoying it as well. In middle distance, like 400 meters, 800 meters, cross country as well. So obviously when my teachers saw that I was good, they kind of told my parents, take her to an athletic club. And then from then on, my parents started taking me athletics, and then that's how I got into it. I was running for Enfield and Haringey since I was 12. And from then on, I was just training athletics. It was going really well. I was like, when I was 17, I was ranked 12th in the UK for my
Wow.
event. And so, yeah, that same year I was meant to go to the European Championships, but then I got injured.
No.
I know, and then I didn't carry
How did you
on.
get injured?
So I have shin splints,
Okay.
and my feet are really flat-footed, so they pronate excessively. So even though I was wearing, the insoles for your shoes and things like that, obviously when we run in spikes,
Mm.
so you're always up on your toes most of the time. So it was just, and when you're younger, and when you have that mentality of keep going, keep going, keep going, and I would feel the pain and everything, and I would barely be able to walk. But when you warm up your body, you're fine to run. I would push and run through the pain, and my coach would say, "How's your shins feeling?" And I would lie, and I'd be like, "It's fine, it's fine," because in my head I'm just thinking, big things are coming. You need to
Yeah.
keep on going, and like, not that I didn't get enough like talk or enough support, but in your head you have a different mentality, and you're like, yeah, just keep pushing. And sometimes you need to listen to your body, and that's where I learned my lesson, to listen to my body. So
Do you really
just
think you
pushing
learned that
through.
lesson when you were that young? Because I didn't. I
Oh.
don't think I've learned it yet. I kept fucking it up. Honestly, prolapsed discs and torn pecs.
Oh my
I've
God, I
I've
know.
snapped stuff and surgery
No,
stuff. But
yeah.
I wanted to ask you about sort of growing up in London, because I'm astonished that at 17 you still had that drive to lean into your athletics. Because when you're that kind of age, is a very common age to drop out of sports,
Oh yeah.
because we all want to go and do everything else. And I imagine there's a million distractions you could have been doing other
Mm-hmm.
than that growing up in
Mm-hmm.
London.
You know what? I really loved athletics. I think I just love fitness in general. So anything that pushes my body or like makes me work hard, it's like I love that, and I don't know what it is. And it's like you go through the pain and the hardship and everything, but there's always a reward after that, even if it's just how you feel inside for yourself and stuff. So that's why even until now I'm boxing. Imagine, that's such a big change. Like, and I went to bodybuilding at one point as well. I've been doing,
Oh god, we all went
it's
down
just
that rabbit hole. Everybody
it's
went down that
always,
fucking
yeah.
dark path at one point in time. I'm interested to ask you about it though. You know, how far down that rabbit hole did you go? Because I damn near went all the way.
Wow, yeah, like it's up and down, But yeah, it's just like I've always had that love for it. So when I was young and I was doing it, and I loved athletics so much, honestly, and I would just watch it. I was like just obsessed with it. And obviously when I got injured, I was out. They told me I couldn't train for 6 months.
6 months?
Yeah, I was
That
out for
age?
6 months. Yeah,
Shit.
at that age. And the thing is that my shins got so bad that I was limping. So I was in crutches and everything. And they told me that all my ligaments down my shins that connect your shin to your muscle were just effed up. They were just torn. They were just
Oh.
done. So imagine every step I took was just so painful all the time. So they were just like, yeah, you're off for 6 months. Obviously, went off, came back. Obviously, you're not the same.
Of course.
I'm still back. I'm at the back now. When you're used to like being at the front, away from everyone,
And
you're at
six
the
months
back.
at that age feels like
Yeah,
2 years, doesn't it?
I
It's just
know,
like,
isn't it? It was so horrible. Anyways, came back and I was like, yeah, let's go. Time to go 100 again. Came back for probably 3-4 months. Shin splints effed up again. So I had to be off for another 6 months. Came back, shin splints effed up. So you know what they say, that when it gets to shins, I think it's a lifelong thing. So even now, when I do, like, I think I did a half marathon probably like 5-6 years ago, and my shins were just messing up just through training only. I had like 4 or 5-6 months of training, and my shins were already going. So I think it was just it's a lifelong thing now, that
how
I
did you
have.
say those
So
setbacks mentally when you're 18? And what did
horribly.
you think you were? Did you think you were going to have a career in athletics? Is that what you were
Yeah,
aiming for, or were you
that
like,
was my only goal in life. Like,
oh,
I didn't even care about school. I didn't care about nothing else. People would ask me, so what do you want to be when you grow up? I was like, I'll say a professional athlete. That's what I want to do. I want to be a professional athlete. And that was all I cared about. So when that happened, that of course that was a massive downer. So this was the times where I had to go uni. So when I went uni and it was your first year and you move out, done. I was just out every night, drinking every night, partying every night, like. And I think I that's how I coped with, and that's not really coping, is it? That's how I just got out of everything, man. It
where did
was
you go
it
to
was
uni?
I went Brunel.
Brunel's a good player.
Yeah,
What did you want to do then? Because obviously at this point had you kind of
no
separated your
idea.
mind from the fact you weren't gonna do
Exactly,
athletics, and what was the
exactly.
alternative? You were
At
just gonna
this,
go
at
and
Yeah, at this point, I had no idea what I wanted to do. I felt almost lost as well. So I was like, you know what, follow something that you still love. And I obviously knew that I still loved my fitness and everything. So I kind of went and did sports science and business. And I just kind of hoped that, this was going to be something that I enjoyed and stuff. And I did enjoy it, but it wasn't really like so exciting for me. And like I said, my first year was just partying anyways. So I literally just scraped it past my first year. And then, yeah, second year and third year went past, but it wasn't really like, I wasn't enjoying it. I was just getting it done because it was like, what else do I do now? Do you know what I mean? I was like, I was meant to be in my head this big athlete and famous and known and fast, and all of a sudden I'm in uni and I don't know what's going to happen next. So after I graduated, I just went to work in a fitness studio. Just started off at reception work and then slowly got into personal training. And then from there, that's where I met one of the instructors who was a bodybuilder already. And that's how I got into bodybuilding. So bodybuilding, you know what? I did enjoy it to an extent. But then
what extent did you do it? Because I never did bodybuilding. I did strongman, and I did so many different disciplines at national and international levels. But it was coming to terms with the colossal amount of drugs involved in the sport. And I'll be honest, like I went down that rabbit hole. I took steroids for like 4 or 5 years. I took absolutely everything under the sun. But just the damage it did to my body, and just that's really opened my eyes to like how much of the Wild West it is.
Oh yeah, no, you know what? And you learn more and more about these really young people at 25 years old dying of heart attacks, all because they want to be, do you know what I mean? Taking all this stuff and killing your body because bodybuilding demands
It's like a
you to do
strange study in mental health and body
it.
dysmorphia is the
Yeah.
whole bodybuilding. And I say it with respect. There's many benefits I picked up from when I did
Uh-huh.
athletics, and then when I did ice hockey and roller hockey and rugby and all this sort of stuff, and bodybuilding and strongman. It was those physical disciplines, that regimented style, that ability to push myself daily into habits, and those were great characteristics I picked up. But
Yeah.
I think there's so much damage that gets done to
Yeah,
people
it's really
mentally.
bad. It's terrible. And yeah, one of those reasons why I did stop the bodybuilding was because of the whole food stuff, and I 100% got an eating disorder after that as well. So there was so many reasons why I just didn't want to continue it. And it is that view of like your body always being ripped and muscly and toned, and if you don't look ripped, then oh no, you've lost. Do you know what I mean? It was
Plus,
just
in athletics, it's like it's not deniable. The time is the time. I'm faster than you. That's fucking it. Do you know what I mean? Whereas
exactly.
with something like bodybuilding, it's kind of like
It's
an art, and
different.
what that means is somebody goes, "Oh no,
It's
actually,
subjective.
I don't
Yeah.
like Hillary. I think that person
Yeah.
is better." No
Exactly.
fucking tangible metric. It's not
Yeah,
like
yeah, not a
you've
reason at
lifted
all.
more or you've jumped higher or you ran faster. It's
Exactly.
like, and that you're fucking with people's self worth in
Yeah.
such a way where people, I mean,
Such a big
it's
thing.
scary.
Definitely. I totally agree. And it's like when you're in body, that's one thing. That's another reason. I was like, it's all subjective. It's if people like you or not, they judge you, they choose,
Yeah.
and it could be whatever. It could be a random person's opinion. You can get a tramp on the road and be like, which one do you like? And be like, that one,
Fuck yeah,
like,
that's it.
do you know what I mean? So it
But it was
wasn't for
obviously
me.
tickling your need to show
Uh-huh.
to have physical development, to show that you were
Yeah,
making
yeah,
progress in
that's what it
something. So
was.
was that the first time you re-engaged back into
Yeah,
physical disciplines and that aspect of?
exactly. So when after the whole athletic thing, and then I went back into work, and I was like, I was still low with things. And when I met this instructor, she was like, "Yeah, do it. I'll coach you and everything." And I was like, "Okay, do you know what? It's about time I get my life up again. Like I wasn't even training. I had lost everything. So I was like,
Having
yeah, do you
that
know what? I want
little
to get
pity
back
party
into."
still.
Yeah, exactly. So I was like, I have to do something about it. So anyway, she got me into it and everything. So cut long story short, I think I did bodybuilding for maybe 2.5 years. Yeah. So the first one I did my first competition in Canada in Toronto.
Whoa.
Um, what was it called? It's called Stars or something, All Stars or something. Anyways, I won that competition. in Canada, and then the second one I went to Palm Springs in the USA. We did the Lou Ferrigno legacy.
What the where the fuck was the I'll do the local thing down in Birmingham? Where the fuck was that step? You know, when most people are like, oh yeah, I did a local bodybuilding competition at my gym. And you're like, I'll tell you what, let's have a look at what's happening internationally, because I'm doing my first competition. So let's see fuck it, let's go. Where was the middle step? Were you just like, you were like, no, fuck all that shit. I'm going big, not messing about. Show me where the medals are.
The first one, yeah, my the lady that was coaching me, she had competed there before, and she was telling me how amazing and different it is. That's why I went to Canada, to Toronto, and then I just made a holiday out of it as well. I was like, you know what, I'll go and compete and then visit Canada as well, and it hits 2 in 1. You know, like you've done something, you've accomplished something. Go and enjoy it.
I mean, were you single at this time? Were you just with friends? Were you just living your own life?
No, I was actually in a relationship as well. I was in a relationship, so we went, and then we went somewhere after. So it was actually nice. And then my second competition in Palm Springs, that did exactly the same. And this time I was in a relationship with someone that was also a bodybuilder. So they competed as well.
That's how it works.
Yeah. So then they did it, and yeah, it was just really nice. And we went to the Lou Ferrigno legacy. I don't know if you know. Yeah. Know, of course.
Bloody hell.
When he first started bringing his competitions out, and I won that as well, which was really nice. I know. And then
had you thought about then doing this because you were getting some international attention? Your partner must have been giving you ideas of, look, okay, now we look at sponsors, now we look at what could we do with this.
Yeah. Do you know what? Sort of. After that, it wasn't getting to my head yet. Obviously, I had just only done 2 competitions. I'd had won both, but I was like, you know what, like, you know, take it easy. You know, just keep doing what you're doing. Don't get ahead of yourself. So then, when I went to these competitions, though, it wasn't like there wasn't something after. You know, like for example, if you do UK, you've got the championships.
There's no natural progression of now it's the UKs, then it's the Worlds, then it's the Commonwealth, and it's the Olympics. There's no
it was just like go and do it and enjoy your holiday.
That's where it's all a bit weird and detached in that sort of environment.
Yeah. So anyway, so then after that, when I was thinking, like people were starting to realize and notice me, like, you know what, you need to do this competition, UKBFF, and from there you go to the British Championships and blah, you know, you keep going. And I was like, okay, cool. My last competition, which was my third one, I did UKBFF, the Julian Feinstein, I think it was. Yeah, so I think that was 2017, went and won that. So I qualified for the British Championships. And this was when I was going through a very hard time in my life.
Okay.
Not the hardest, but a very tough time in my personal life. And I didn't go to the British Championships, which was so hard for me because I knew I would win. But at the same time, I think life happens for a reason. There was like so many things going on. And then I found myself, you know, when I was saying about this eating disorder, and I would find myself that, you know, where I was getting stressed or depressed, I was finding myself really like binge eating a lot. And just like eating crazy stuff that I would literally get, I'm not even lying to you, I would get a whole pack of like cookies and eat that whole pack of cookies, and it was still not satisfying me. And then I'd go and get donuts, those pack of 6 donuts, eat all those donuts all at one go, and I was still not satisfied. And then I would go back to the shop, get big packs of Kit Kat bars and chocolates, and I'm not even lying, I would get a whole pack. And then I would be so embarrassed though, because people wouldn't watch me, but I would feel in my head, I'm like, oh my God, everyone's watching me. And like, I'm like going paranoid in my head, and I'm like, oh my God, I need to go to my home and hide and not let no one know that I'm eating all this. Do you know what I mean? And it really
I used to
affects
have,
your head.
my thing used to be, right, when I took growth hormone, I don't know if you knew anybody, the partner back then or whatever, it doesn't matter, I'm not going to name names, but one thing when you do that, you mess about with all your insulin and stuff, and it would really mess you about, right? And I used to have this thing where I would have a chicken pizza sandwich, where it would be 2 pizzas, and I would cut like a pack of 4 chicken breasts. I would put them inside the pizzas, and I would like half a bloody pack of barbecue sauce, and then both the pizzas on top of each other like that, and just fucking eat that. And that was like fucking 5,000 calories or something fucking stupid. And then after that, double Ben and Jerry's with and it was just like, but I would like, as soon as I'd eaten it, I would like start sweating because my blood sugars would be spiking and then dropping, and that's how you say, like, I knew people that passed out and died because they were messing about with their insulin and all this sort of stuff. And you're putting shit in your body that you've got no idea about. But also, like, I wanted to ask you about this idea of having it snatched away again, because when you said, don't get ahead of yourself, it kind of made me reflect back on the fact that you'd already had an opportunity in your mind taken away from you. Now you're starting to see progress in something yourself. But you must have been, how old should you have been now? You must have been 20.
I was 25 when I was,
when you were competing.
Competitions. Yeah.
So
25.
What made you finally decide and finally have that self-awareness? Because you must have already known in the sport, like competing at that level, that some people have their own approaches, their own methods, maybe not entirely healthy. We are great salespeople to ourselves, that we can justify it to ourselves, even though there's no money in it at that level either, though.
No, there isn't at all. There isn't at all. I think I just, you know what, when I went through all this stuff and I didn't compete in the British Championships, I was upset because I knew I could win, but at the same time, I was really reevaluating my time and my time in the sport as well. And I was like really thinking about everything that, the journey that I have towards that competition, like especially my last competition, like things were going really well. But I enjoyed the training. I loved the training. And that's what I said, like fitness is my passion. But the food side of things, I hated that. Really? And I was like, is it really worth that hate bit? And it was like, it wasn't even like, oh, I don't like eating this, it's fine though, get on with it. It was more like there was building a passion, hate for that side of things, like a passion of hate for the food. And it was making me have this really strong, weird relationship with food. And it like was getting to my head mentally. And then after, when I was going through all this stuff, and then I was finding myself binge eating and everything, I put on so much weight. It was so bad. And I had never been that heavy in my life. And if you would see me, people would never have thought that 5 months ago I was ripped and lean, because I was just so overweight. And I think I was weighing about 80 kg. Imagine my weight right now is 65 kg.
No, yeah.
I was weighing about 80 kg, and I was like, I was still eating, and I was depressed and low. And it was like,
what else was going on there? Because it sounds like this is just one domino that's it. And I don't have to share super private stuff or anything like that. But your daughter must have been born around this kind of time, wasn't she?
No, she wasn't. This was way before my daughter was born.
Okay.
This was like 3 years before my daughter.
Okay.
3 years before my daughter. So I was just like, I don't know what it was. It was, my previous relationship wasn't great as well. I was like, he was terrible. And then I had moved. So when we broke up, I was living in South London. I came back to move back to my mum's house again. So it was like, when you're taking steps back, and then you don't have this bodybuilding, where everyone had this.
You feel like, oh, fucking hell, I had these things. I was supposed to be the one that was going to make it. I was supposed to be successful. I'm disciplined. I'm fucking disciplined. I'm really good. I'm good at doing the stuff most people are shit at. Why am I not making progress?
Exactly. So anyways, I was going through that, and where I was finding myself having this binge eating thing. So what I'll do, I'll eat so much, and then the next day I'll have in my head, okay, we're going to do this. We're going to start training again and dieting again. So it will be like, I'm going to fast for 3 days and go hardcore with my training and do cardio and everything, and then back into your vegetables and chicken again. And I wouldn't eat for 3 days, then I'll be pounding the gym. I wouldn't eat for 3 days, going crazy in the gym. Then I'll do the whole like eating again, and then 1 week later I'll be like fuck this, I can't do this anymore. Go and get your packs of cookies and donuts and stuff yourself until you would literally vomit. Like, and that was a vicious cycle for like one whole year. And I'm not
Really?
gonna lie, yeah, one whole year this was the cycle that I was found in. And I was
Were you still
like,
working in gyms then? Sorry.
I was still working in gyms, yeah, but it affected me so much because obviously where I was overweight and I was not confident in myself anymore. And I was like, oh, like I just had lost confidence. I lost like a lot of motivation in myself. Even my job wasn't going great. And yeah, it affected me in a lot of ways. So then after that, um, I forgot what the question was that you
No, no,
asked.
no, no. I'm curious as to how you rebuilt that confidence, because
Yeah,
you
so
seem
after
so
that,
gregarious now. You seem so,
yeah,
you're always
so
so engaging. You're always
I
so
know.
driven and full of energy. I'm hopeful that not all of that, or not none of that is. We're always masking a little bit of something, and it's
Oh yeah,
petrifying to think
definitely.
that we could
Yeah,
go back there. I remember again, sort of in times when I've had horrific injuries or I've been in
yeah,
dark places, injecting something in my body, and then when I have that bit of success in my career, or I've owned a number of businesses and gyms in the past. When things are going
yeah,
well, there's always that petrifying feeling for me sometimes that
yeah, a hundred
you're going
percent.
to fuck this up, Pete. You're going to fuck it
Yeah,
up. You are going to fuck it up because you're a fuck up. Do you know what I mean? And
yeah,
that is
yeah,
just
yeah,
like so
yeah,
horrible. And I'm just like, no, I'm a good person. My moral compass is good. I did some bad stuff in the past, and I've apologized about it, and
yeah,
I'm working hard. But then there's still that bit in your mind where it's like, no, you're going to fuck it up. And
yeah.
I've struggled with that.
Yeah, 100%. You put a lot of pressure on yourself, and I that's exactly my mentality. And then you go through those stuff, and in my head, I'm like, yeah, I'm a failure. I'm always a failure. This is what always happens to me. Why me? You go through like this victimization of yourself. Oh, this is always, and it's like it's all a mental thing. You go also through your depression and everything. So all that goes hand in hand, though. And I was going through all that stuff, and then I met my partner, which is my daughter's dad, and that was totally bad as well. I know. So just
Well,
end up.
I always think, am I in the? I've had a number of bad relationships. Me and my wife even separated for a period of time. It's like, would I
Yeah.
want to be with me? Not that like you're a bad person, but like me and my wife were both broken when we met each other, and you
Yeah.
think to yourself, man, we weren't wrong, but like two wrongs don't make a right. A broken person. You spend sometimes. I think it's easier to focus on someone else and try and help them than focus on
Yeah,
yourself,
that's
and
so
that
true.
never fucking works.
No, that's so true. And that's one of the things that I started learning as I went through life, to start loving yourself more. And it's not even about being selfish. It's not about you hate anyone. You just
It's
need
not about
to.
ego. It's about healthy
Exactly.
self love. You can't pour from an empty cup. Do you know what I mean? You can
100%.
only help people from a position of strength. It doesn't mean stronger or better than them, but it means like you've got to be in a good place mentally, physically, financially to
Mhm.
fucking help somebody. You
Mm.
can't help somebody if
Yeah,
your life is a shower of shit.
exactly. 100%, definitely. So where before, where I was in a really low and dark space, and then I met the daughter's dad, which is not involved in her life at the moment, which was another story. Obviously, you go through that dark mentality where you're still in your victimization state, and you're like, oh my god, I need someone to make me feel happy again, or I need someone to help me, or I need, do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that's still the mindset that I had then. And then when I got with him, for like, it was for 2 years, and then I got pregnant with Leah, and then with my daughter, and then obviously I found out that he was like totally nothing that he said he was. My whole life was a lie. Like, he had lied about everything and everything, and then he was out of the picture. So it was just me and Leah, me and my little one. And while I was pregnant, I feel like throughout my whole pregnancy, I went through depression. It was like the darkest place I've ever been in my whole life yet. All those things that I was telling you, all those downfalls, it was like worse than that.
Wow.
And because I was pregnant, I was alone. I was back at living at my mom's house. Obviously, I was with this partner that we
Yeah.
were meant to plan a life together and live together. I was like, whoa, I'm about to have a child, and I did not plan to do this on my own.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, at 5 months pregnant, I'm alone. I have no one. I'm going to give birth to this child. And in my mind, I wasn't even ready. Like, I was depressed. I was in a hole. Like, I didn't even know how to deal with myself, let alone the thought of bringing up another child. I was so low, and then I wasn't going to work. So, like, money financially, I wasn't doing great. I was in my mum's house. I had nothing. I was like, what am I going to give this child? I literally had nothing to give, nothing. Mentally, I was just feeling so alone and low. Yeah, it was very, very hard. It was a very hard place to be in. And that's when I knew
I
I
don't
needed
think that, and I've never been through something like this. So I would never pretend, but I'll be interested to hear if anyone else has ever spoken to you about that, because like I've got two stepchildren, and my wife was in a relationship of domestic violence for a very, very long time, for about 15 years, and she speaks of this just colossal loneliness for like 9 years, and sitting alone on your birthdays and crying through Christmases, and her story is not my story to tell, but when I speak to other women now, like we miscarried twins, and it's surprising how many people go through things, but they never speak about it. Sometimes because they're ashamed about it, or sometimes because they don't want to put that on somebody. But I think whilst it's not a normal thing or not an easy thing, it's not uncommon that so many women have that aspect of whether they're 18 or 28, and they're like, I feel, what the fuck have I got to give this person? This is going to be a really joyous moment of my life. I've heard people talk about pregnancy. I've heard them talk about childbirth. It's supposed to be this incredible thing. And I feel like I'm a fucking paper width away from wanting to just fucking kill myself.
I know. You know what? It's like, and this is the thing that I when I was seeing my midwife and everything, I felt so guilty and like so horrible to tell her that I hate being pregnant right now, and I hate everything right now of pregnancy, because obviously it is meant to be your happiest moments, as a woman, and I think I had all those other external things that added to that, bad space and
just
stuff.
Soured the whole experience.
But just in general, I was just miserable through my pregnancy. Like, I was already going through a sort of like depression state, when you get antenatal depression with the pregnancy, and then to know all that stuff, then I was just worse, and I was just miserable. I hated being pregnant. It's everything put together, because you feel constantly sick every day. You have a headache, you feel ill. And I was in bed for so long, and I was so depressed. Like, and this is another thing that I wouldn't even tell my midwives, because again, it's that guilt feeling, and that, oh my gosh, if they know this, they're probably going to think I'm crazy, or I'm not well enough to have a child, or you know what I mean? Or they, like, you get a bit worried for yourself and start panicking. But I would literally be in my bed the whole day. I had to take time off because I couldn't get out of bed and go work. I was depressed. I would cry in my bed the whole day. I wouldn't shower. I wouldn't eat. I wouldn't even drink. And I'd literally just be inside doing nothing. And it was like the worst thing I had ever experienced. And you know what? It was like to a point where I started thinking, why am I in this life? Why am I here? Why am I in this world? When I started getting those thoughts of not being here anymore, I was like, okay, I need help. Like, something is seriously wrong with me. I need help. And I was like, there's a child that's about to be born. Like, you can't be that selfish to want to take your life and take it this far. So that's when I spoke to my midwife, and I was in tears. I couldn't even talk when I was speaking to her. I was like, I want to, like I told her it was so hard, but I had to, because I knew that something wasn't right. And I think thinking about, the baby coming, and it was my child and everything, I was like, no, I need help. Like, and that's when I realized, and it was so hard, don't get me wrong, it was the hardest thing I had to ever do, but they helped me. They got me a therapy every week and things like that, and slowly I was like getting better and better. But don't get me wrong, it's still very, very hard.
Oh god,
it wasn't easy at all.
No,
like,
it's not like a fucking shower. You don't just fix it. Although it is like a shower in the fact that you have to do it every day. Do you know what I mean? I always say to people, those those aspects of gratitude, self-awareness,
Yeah.
perspective,
Oh yeah,
just getting a little
definitely.
bit of, because whilst like it's so easy to feel guilty when you've got a happy, healthy baby, but you feel
Yeah.
terrible, but then other people will be like, you fucking bitch, we can't even
Yeah.
get
Oh,
pregnant, or like
100%.
our kids got cancer or Down syndrome, and you're like, oh
Yeah.
fucking hell, yeah, okay, I'm sorry. You almost like feel like you're
Yeah.
not worthy of
Oh,
feeling depressed.
100%. And this is the thing, that I believe that everyone should feel more open to speak to whoever they have around,
Yeah,
not everything. Because I was the same. I was literally like, oh my God, I'm scared to say this, I'm scared to say that. But as soon as you say it, and then you feel guilty and everything, and I think that's one of the things that it should be out there, and it should be normal to feel like this, because they always put these fake things of women pregnant and smiling and everything is beautiful and like, you know what I mean, and you
yeah,
wake up and the woman wakes up from her bed and she's like smiling, like I'm like, no,
yeah,
that's not the truth. But like, you literally feel like shit all
yeah,
the time.
yeah, yeah.
And my friend, who's my like very close girl, she recently told me that she was pregnant as well. And she told me exactly the same. She was like, Hillary, I really want to know how you did it through pregnancy, because I flipping hate this right now. I cannot deal with feeling sick every day. I feel guilty because I'm not even happy. I am sad. I hate everything.
Yeah.
And I was like, girl, that's normal. And that's not and they don't tell us this. I wasn't prepared for this. And they don't, like, your midwives don't tell you this. They are very soft with it. They're like, oh, you might feel a bit down, or you might feel, nah. I would rather someone tell me, you know what, it's going to be the shittest time you've ever had,
Yeah.
and you're going to have
Your
to deal
body
with
is not
it.
yours anymore. You might poo yourself. Things don't work. Your fucking hair's terrible. Your
I would
skin.
rather someone
You're
tell me
hungry,
the
but you can't
truth.
eat. You vomit every 2 fucking
Oh my
minutes.
gosh,
You know.
honestly. And the things that, the mental things that come with it, like, not being right and feeling depressed and all that, like, I think is so important as well. Like, but anyways, those are bigger things that I think need to be out there as well,
100%. So how
Um,
did you start? So you started to build on those, working with a therapist. Getting
yeah,
getting a bit more support around you.
yeah,
When Leah was born,
yeah.
how did that? What was that like for you?
So obviously, I was like 4 or 5 months when I found out the whole thing, did my like therapy and everything, and slowly, bit by bit, we started really small baby steps. It was like, obviously, because I was so depressed I couldn't get out of my bed, so I had little goals. So my first ever goal was like, I had a dog, and I was like, I don't take the dog out because my mom was there and my sisters. She was like, put that one thing as a routine to do every day. Take your dog out. Just do that.
Yeah,
Nothing else. Just take your
that's
dog
it.
out.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, the first week, no way I could take that dog out. I was like, I did not even attempt to take the dog out. Like, that's how much I didn't want to go out. I didn't want to see people. I didn't want to interact with people. I didn't want to, like, you know what I mean? So I didn't do it. And then the week came, and then she was like, so how did it go with your dog walking? I was like, yeah, it was all right. And she was like, yeah,
Oh,
you're lying.
really?
She's like, I can see you're lying. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I didn't do it. And she was like, why? And I was like, I find it very, very hard to do that right now. And she was like, listen, Hillary, it's going to be very hard. You're not going to want to do this. You're not going to. But these are the things that are going to help you get better. And if you really want to, try and do it, And I was like, okay, da da da. So the day came, it was day 2, day 3. I still hadn't taken the dog. And I was like, you know what? Today, I'm going to try so hard. I got to the verge of putting my shoes on, and then I went back to my room and I was like, nah, it's not happening today. And then, you know what? Bit by bit, it's the intention of every day thinking about taking your dog, and you're thinking. I think 2 weeks went past and I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it for real today. I put my hoodie on, I put my coat and literally covered my face up so you would not be able to see who I was. I walked outside, literally took him to the corner and came back in, and I just went straight back upstairs. But this is how small the steps
It's
were.
awareness.
Do you know
That's
what I mean?
awareness. I'm surprised, to be honest, you started with a big step like that, because there's usually things like make your bed and send me a photo of you've made your bed. You know what I mean? Just tidy your room. I'd love to just send me a picture of them. Make yourself one meal and send me a picture of them. That's what, when I've worked with people before, it's like encouraging people to go outside if they haven't been outside for 6 months is a fucking big step.
I know, trust me. so mad. But you know what? It was good though, because then I found myself that I was doing it every day. And then now I was taking my hoodie off every day. And I was actually all right looking at people now, you know, and then it builds up bit by bit. So anyways, it
What
was
were your
baby steps.
family like around this? Because there's also an argument for what we refer to as enablers, or people that allow you to continue to exist like that. Like they'll provide an environment for the best of intentions. They'll give you food and support, and they will help you perpetuate a life that you don't want to be living.
Yeah, I mean, like, thankfully, my mum and my sisters were very supportive and everything. Obviously, they didn't know what extent I was going through the depression phase. I never really told them that I had a therapist.
Why?
Because I still felt guilty, you know, about being pregnant and feeling like I hate this and I don't want to be here. And they don't know about me. And I think they know now because obviously now I can talk about it. But before no one knew, absolutely no one, because it was the whole thing of, oh my gosh, they're going to think I'm crazy. They're going to, it's all those things that you're worried about, and what are they going to think about me? They're going to think I'm terrible, I'm horrible. It's like, and it was so much easier for me to tell all these things to someone that I had never met before, like a therapist, than to tell my own family, even though I knew that they would help me, but I still would. It's just such a weird place where you're at, where you think, oh my gosh, no, I don't think I'm able to tell them something like this. Wow. And I feel like, and I read it everywhere, and it happens with a lot of people. They find it very hard to speak to someone and to open up to someone that's close to you, even though you know they will help you. But I don't know what it is. I think it's like a mixture of guilt and like feeling terrible about what they're going to think about you.
I think it's guilt and shame and stuff like that, where it's like,
there's
an assumption that you're not struggling with this thing, but I am. I feel like this thing that everybody seems to be doing seamlessly, life, is really fucking difficult for me. I just can't do it. I'm not good at doing life. Definitely. At being an adult, I'm fucking struggling at it.
Yeah.
And it's that real shame that people feel like, it's almost like you dare to ask somebody, how are you doing it, and can you help me? Because they'll be like, well, I'm just fucking living, aren't I? I don't know what you're asking me. Yeah, and you're like, but it's hard. How are you doing it?
I know. It's so true. And then obviously people have always had a perception of me of like, Hillary, you're so hardcore.
Yeah. And they're like, I remember Hillary, athletic star, bodybuilding. Exactly. Oh man, she's always in shape. You know Hillary, super disciplined.
The killer, the strong girl, like she's always on point and motivated. And then to go and tell someone that you hate life and that you want to, don't want to be here anymore, like that is so hard, and it's kind of like an ego thing, actually, if you think about it as well. The ego doesn't let you, that's what it is. The ego doesn't let you tell anyone that there's something wrong or like you need help from anyone.
Well, also in a way you're mourning a past personality. There's almost a death of identity that's happened there. Do you know what I mean? It's like, you've injured yourself, and part of you's died in your mind as a child when you had that opportunity taken away from you. And then you've been in this relationship and you've become pregnant. You're like, shit, that person is dead, and I almost don't want to go out and show people this new version of me, which is just another chapter of your life, because who you are now. You're probably the hero of yourself years ago. Do you know what I mean? You'd have never been able to see where you are now.
Oh, definitely, man. Especially when you're in that dark, cold place, you think, oh my God, I'm here forever. Literally, that's how it feels. Like, you feel like there's no way out. That's literally how you feel. You feel trapped. You really think, how the hell am I going to get out of this? And it almost feels impossible to get out sometimes. So, not sometimes, all the time. When I was there, I was like, this is impossible. I'm here forever. And that's why I can see why people think it's easier to take your life than to get out of it, because it is very hard. It's not.
It becomes a state of instant relief. You just think, the world, the world genuinely is just better without me here. I'm not adding any value to it. I'm just going to take away from everyone around me.
Yeah, 100%. And you know what? Like, it's either, and there's that thing of make or break as well. And I was so low. I was very, very low. And it was literally because of the pregnancy. And because I knew that Leah was coming, and I was like, wow, she can't have a mom that's effed up, basically. Like, I need to get my shit together and don't think it's not about me anymore. It really isn't about me anymore. It's about her. Like, you need to fix up, and get that. So I think that was a part of me as well that was like, that wanted me to get out and wanted me to do something about it because of her. Because I feel like if she wasn't here, I feel like it would be a bit different. I don't know how I would have managed it if it wasn't for her,
Maybe you wouldn't.
And that's something that I also think about. But yeah, so after all that time of really working on me, I wasn't even going to my work anymore. I was done. Like, I was literally just me and getting through the pregnancy and everything. So it was like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It was probably like 4 or 5 months of this, of just working to that and everything. Then I during this time I found a place for me. I've got a car. This is just so crazy. I know. I managed to get a car. Obviously, it was a fancy car. It was just a car to get me from
Yeah.
I was like, I was still
putting all those foundations of life back in.
Yeah. I was like thinking, you know what? There's a child coming now. I need to get these things ready. And as I was doing these things without realizing it, and that I was planning, it was slowly helping me as well in my mind, mentally. And so when she was born, all that, obviously, because the depression of the pregnancy as well, affected. So during the pregnancy, I was depressed because of the pregnancy. As soon as I gave birth, like a week gone past, and I was like, I was feeling great already.
Really?
And I was like, whoa.
Because that can go either way. You can have that postnatal is a real thing.
Exactly. So when she came, everything, all this pregnancy depression went. Wow. And that was a big load off me because I was going through depression, not only through my own depression, but also the pregnancy depression. So it was like all of that put together. That's why it was so much more harder. So then when the whole pregnancy depression lifted, I was still, obviously I wasn't like, oh, I'm the best now. Like, I still was, but that was such a big load off me because when that was off, I could finally feel love for her. And I was like, as soon as she came though, I was like, oh my gosh, everything changed. And I saw her and I literally was like, oh my gosh, wow. Like, I was in awe, and it literally changed my whole mentality. It was like a click in my head, like a switch, like, she's here now, Hillary. Like, this is it. Like, it's your time now. You need to show her. You need to bring her up now, And it's like this thing that they talk about, this natural mother instinct feeling.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I felt. And it was love. And I was like, oh my gosh, I love you so much. And it was just so strong and powerful. And feeling that was like amazing because after everything that I had gone through, after like being in such a dark hole and being from zero to not even wanting to be here to like, wow, like, I love you so much. And I finally feel like I have a purpose. It was a big step. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that helped me a lot. So then after, and this was COVID times as well. So after, I know, so I had her, obviously I gave to her birth alone as well. I had her, but also all my sisters and mom and everyone was at home because no one could go to work and everything. So I think that was such a big thing for me because I feel like if they were gone and everything, I wasn't getting enough help. But I was literally there with my family. They were supporting me 24/7 with her. I was getting full support and I felt like, the family were together and I kept feeling more love and it was like more fulfilling. And COVID, I feel like happened for the perfect time for me because it was when I most needed my family to be there and everything.
Yeah.
So anyways, that happened and I got more time to myself and it was like, from then on, it was just up. It was just up all the way. I started setting myself goals. I was like, I knew I was mentally out of it and I promised myself that I would never go back to that dark place ever again, and that's never going to happen to me. And if that's never going to happen to me, it was time for me to make changes in my life. And it was all mental changes, because I knew it was just all in my mind and in my thoughts and in the things that I go through. All, like, there was just so many things that I wanted to change, you know. It all just suddenly came like flying to me, so many things like flooding in. I need to change so many things. So from then on, I just started setting my own goals, you know. And I
where did these strategies kind of come from though? Because I love that, but I want to understand, like, other than the therapy, was there any? Because there'll be so many people listening to this who are probably maybe in that position right now. How did you do it though? How? So, you know, we talk about, I set goals. Yeah, fucking how? I know it sounds obvious, but like, did you read a fucking book? Did you listen to something, a YouTube video? Was it a podcast? How did you get up every day and go, right, these are habits what was it like for you?
So initially it all came from, you know, my therapist set me these goals. It was all from that. So like, it was, you know, the goals that she was setting me was like, okay, today you're going to brush your teeth and then wash your face and then go, you know, like, it was little goals like that would help me stick to things. So when I started feeling great again and I promised myself never to go back, I started more of thinking, how did I get in that dark place? Okay. Why was I in that dark place? And I was just trying to understand what was wrong. And I was thinking of myself now, all like not the negative things, but things that I didn't like about myself, or things that I had to get rid of in order for me to be better. So straight away, I was always a negative talker in my head. I was so negative with myself, with my life, with my career. I was always like, I'm always rubbish, I'm not great, you know, like, that was my first thing. And I had it down, and I was like, be better at being positive. So, and it would be like, today, like every day, you're going to say one positive sentence and you're going to stick to that. So it will be like, I am great today. You wake up and that's like your positive sentence for the day. I am great today. The next day you'll be like, I am beautiful, because I would always put myself down and I'll be like, like, that's why I don't get a boyfriend, because I'm not pretty, I'm not this, you know. It's stupid little things, but things that are going to help you change your mindset. And it was like, I am beautiful inside and out, or I am strong, because I would always, you know, like, things like in the past where I felt, oh my God, I'm not mentally strong to go through that, or I don't think I'm ready to do that. I need to train more to get there first, or, you know, like, you don't need to say things like that to yourself. Those words don't do you any good. And, you know, words are so powerful for your mind, you know. Everything you say affects your mind. And
problem is, everything you say, you hear it as well.
Oh,
you know what I mean? It's not just, you're not just thinking it, especially when you think it and you say it out loud and you put yourself down. That's reaffirming that. And also, your mind is there to answer questions and fix problems. So if you give it a stupid question, you'll be like, why can't I do this today? Your mind will go, because you're shit, Hillary. Because you're a fucking loser.
Exactly.
You know, why is no one listening to me? Because you're boring. Why is that person not messaging me back? Because you're a fucking, you know, because everybody hates you. If you ask a stupid question, your mind will give you a stupid answer.
And your body doesn't. Your body doesn't know any better. It will believe.
It will believe it. 100%.
Yeah. And it was like little things like that. And I knew that I wasn't confident in myself. And it was like, you need to be more confident. But what can I do to be more confident? Okay, what I'm going to do today is, maybe when I go to the shop, start a conversation with the shopkeeper.
Boom. 100%.
Do you know what I mean? And it sounded so
Speak to crazy. Fucking strangers. My 10-year-old, all the time. I'm with her. I'm all the time like, gosh. 100%. Ask. Go and talk to that person. Do this. Let's do that. Fuck it. Why not? Yeah, let's wear that. Let's wear pink. I'm wearing pink leggings today. I wore them. And my daughter's like, oh, Daddy. I'm like, fuck it.
Yeah.
Fuck it.
100%.
Yeah. I like them. Conversation starter, baby.
Oh, yeah. the thing, and it sounds so stupid and everything, and like for me it was, and I really hated it, and because I've never been confident like before. I was never confident. I was never like, I would always be quiet, keep myself to myself, not talk to anyone, because I just didn't have that in me. I would be like, oh no, like I don't feel too confident.
But again, that's that narrative that we tell ourselves. I always say to people, like, it's about where you place your anchor. Because if you say, like, I'm not a confident person and I'm trying to be confident, whereas if you say I'm a confident person that just fucks up every now and again. Because like if I go and speak to somebody, but my core belief is like, I am a confident, fit, healthy, articulate person. If I accidentally mishear them, or if I miscommunicate, or if they don't hear me, or if they ignore me, or if I make an idiot of myself, that is a piece of evidence that goes against the core belief. Whereas if the core belief over here is I'm a loser, I'm not confident, then anything like if you said to me like, hey Pete, can I just ask you a question? And I didn't hear you, then you're because you're not now, but perhaps because somebody's anchor is there, they'll be like, oh God, he's not listening to me because I'm a loser, or because oh God, everyone's laughing at me. He just didn't fucking hear you. He just didn't hear you.
You know what? That's
you know what I mean? True. But it's about where you play. And you see it in fitness all the time. Like if you believe deep down you are a fat person who's trying to get thin, then you'll always be like, every day you have a mess up, you're like, oh, you see, this is proof you're a loser. Whereas if I'm like, even I'm injured now, like from the show, I'm like, I'm a fit and healthy person who is currently injured.
Exactly.
But my mind, I'm a fit and healthy person. So if somebody asks me, I'm like, yeah, I'm a fit and healthy person. 100%. Of course I am. I'm working through an injury at the minute, but my default setting is here. And you will always get back to your default. You will get what you believe you deserve. And if that's what your blueprint is, sorry to interrupt you, but that's I love that because that's so what you were.
Very true. And it was like all these goals that, you know, people, you have your comfort level, your comfort zone. It was all these things that I was doing was making myself get out that comfort zone, and it was so and I hated doing them.
I can see you now having that conversation in the shop.
Oh my God, it was so horrible.
I love it.
So horrible, like, but I made myself do it, and it was just that drive of wanting to it was the change of your mindset, you know, of wanting to change, of not going back there anymore. And I was like, I'm gonna be totally different now. I'm changing who I am. I'm changing my life for the better, because all these shit relationships, all this shit thing that I had before is not going to be like that anymore. I have a daughter now. Things have to be better. She can't see her mom being all scared in the shop. Oh, what's the change? Oh, you know, like.
And equally, you were like 28, 29 or 30 or whatever at the time. You're still very young. And I always say to people, like, don't have the audacity to say to your kid, oh, do your best, be confident, try your hardest. They'll be like, Mum, you're fucking 30. What's your excuse? Why are you not? Why don't you go and fucking try? Why don't you go and apply for a new job? Why don't you go and ask that person out? You're telling me to go to this club I've never been to. It's fucking petrifying. What are you doing to push yourself? You know what I mean? And that's why I always like, that's what I say to myself anytime I'm like, oh God, you know, I don't know if I'm going to apply for this. I say to myself, I'm like, you pussy. What a pussy. What would you say to your kids? You go, oh no, come on, let's go to that new athletics club on Saturday. Even though you're petrified, fucking go and do it. Do you know what I mean? Lead by example, because your kids, they don't just hear what you're saying, they see what you're doing. They learn with their eyes. How are you living?
They learn from you, and you're their biggest role model, because they 100%,
live with 100%. Don't be a hypocrite.
And they're gonna pick up whatever it is you teach them, or whatever it is you do. You don't even need to teach them. They just
see you doing it.
By example, they see what you do. You know, they're intelligent little beings. You know, they will pick up on everything. So you know what, and it was just all this thing that being here, me wanting to never go back, me wanting to be a better person and change that narrative that I had in my head before. You're not going to be great. You're never going to be this. You're not going to get there. You know, forget all that. I don't think like that anymore. You know, that person is totally dead. Like nowadays, my thoughts are always positive about myself. I wake up in the morning and I'm grateful for being here, and I'm like, wow, what a beautiful day. Even if it's like right now it's shitty and raining, but
it's a great day for the ducks.
Exactly.
How nice is the grass going to be? How beautiful the tree's going to be? It's great.
But you wake up and you're grateful, like, wow, I'm grateful for the rain. The water is a beautiful thing. Is, you find a way to make something positive.
Yeah.
And nowadays, that is all I ever focus on. Even when there's a situation that is not going my way or something that's not going right, I always find the positive in it. And I'm like, wow, this is happening because it was meant to happen, and something better is going to come from it. That's it. You don't
I
think,
always have
oh
that.
no,
And it's
my
same,
whole life.
when I've had this injury and stuff, I'm like, oh, yeah, okay, this is tasty. Okay, the universe is testing me. You said you want it, yeah? You said you were really fucking disciplined. Okay, well, I'll tell you what, have this fucking kick in the balls. Yeah, just swallow that one for me. Now show me you're resilient. Yeah, show me all this bullshit you keep talking about. And I'm like, yeah, okay, I'll take that one. And I will come back from it, because people see how you succeed, but they also see how you fail, or they see how you take a setback. You're just going to sit in a puddle of shit and cry about it, or are you going to go, okay, yeah, okay, okay, I see the rehab plan, I see the process. I fell over, but I can see the method of getting back up again. That's okay.
Exactly, and that's all it was. It was just me versus me in my mind, and you should never see it as you versus you, because you work within you and you work with your
mind. You've got to be on your team. You've got to be on your fucking team. The rest of the world is ready to tell you shit. You've got to be your number one fan. 100%.
All the time, there's never, and don't get me wrong, I'm not perfect. Some days you have bad days and you think, oh man, and then you just, I've also taught myself to catch myself when I'm getting a negative thought, or I'm or I'm talking bad about myself, or I click on straight away, be like, wait.
Yeah.
No. And you cut yourself and you realize, and then you start talking. And there's this other thing, fake it till you make it. Because at the beginning, I was like, don't get me wrong, because I was so, you've lived your life, all your life, through this habit of having negative thoughts in your head. It's not an easy thing. It's not easy at all, because at the beginning, I would think, oh yeah, say it in your head, no, you're great, Hillary, and I would say it, but I wouldn't feel it. I was like, oh my gosh, like, I'm saying it, but I keep thinking in my head, nah, you're lying, but at the same time, and it is like a fight at the beginning. It's like a fight at the beginning, 100%. And you're not going to get it straight away, but if you practice every day, it's like training your body. If you train your legs, squat heavy every day, you're going to get big legs, you're going to get strong legs. Same thing with your brain. You're going to do the same thing. Reps, sets every day is going to get stronger. So, that's how I started doing it, and it was working. It was working fine for me. I started reading this book, it's on meditation, and it's by Joe Dispenza, and I started meditating as well. And the whole thing from meditation, I got it from, there's this app called Headspace.
Yes, it is a fucking fantastic app. I love that guy's voice. Oh my God.
That my therapist told me to start using. And I started using it, and I really, really enjoyed it, and I liked it. And I liked, how, it worked and everything. And then somebody told me about this book, Joe Dispenza, and they were like, it's about meditation and your mind, and it's a bit similar to what I was doing. And I was like, you know what, I'm going to read it. And it was just like more on spiritual meditation and things like that. And I started doing it, and I was just like, wow, it just worked for me. I learned how to meditate to another level.
Yeah.
And that was just crazy. That's another story, though.
That's great advice. They're great tools for people to engage with. I mean, when I think about Headspace, like one of my favorite ones was, do you remember the one where they speak about your thoughts being like traffic? Do you remember that?
Yes.
I said like you would see a red car in the distance, and like imagine that's like your anger. Like somebody does something, or you wake up in the morning, you feel like, oh, I'm a little bit pissed off this morning. I'm a little bit, and you can see it coming in the distance. And then a few other things happen. You see it getting closer, but you are not anger. Anger is something that is happening to you if you allow it, because you can step out into the road and go, right, fucking come on then, and then just like try and do battle with it, or you can see anger come down the road, and then it's upon you. And you can just watch it pass by, and you can go, oh, that's okay. I see I'm experiencing this anger, and now
Yeah.
it's moving away. You don't have to engage with it. It is a conscious
So,
choice
so
for you to engage in that.
that was so, yeah, and
There's such
so good that
great bits in there.
that helped me so much. And they teach you that there's a thought coming through, that it doesn't define your state right now. It doesn't define who you are. It doesn't mean it's happening. You have a thought, oh, a negative thought, but it has nothing to do with
Be
what you
curious
are,
about it. Yeah,
you
yeah.
know?
Just go, wow, I'm
Just see,
fascinated.
go through
Why did I
that.
just have that thought that I wanted to punch that
Yeah.
person? Why did I have that? Is so fascinating. I'm not going to do it, but isn't it amazing that I just thought that? Or like
Yeah.
you have when your kid does something and your
Yeah.
mind flashes to the end of the
It's
spectrum
just
and
the
goes,
thought.
ah, and you're like, whoa, that's amazing. Why did I think that? And then try to understand it better.
100%.
Beautiful.
And all those, you know what, and it does help so much. And all those things, like at the beginning, now that you brought it up, I remember that, and that helped me so much. And it almost makes you think like, wow,
Yeah,
like it's actually amazing that
yeah,
you know this now.
yeah.
So
And it is
yeah,
just
so
like the weather, because I'm
yeah,
especially with women as well. Every month, our emotions, we all go through different phases and peaks and troughs and where we are in our cycles, and men and their testosterone and everything like this.
yeah,
And it's just like the weather. You can get up in the morning like today and go, it's raining today. Okay, today is going to be a rainy day. That means when I'm out
exactly.
walking, it's going to be a little bit harder. I'm going to be a little
Yeah,
bit of this. It's all going to be. And if you wake up in the morning, you feel a little bit depressed. There are things you
yeah.
can do about it. You can put a fucking raincoat on. Yeah, you can make sure you're wrapped up warm. But today is just going to be a bit of a rainy day, and tomorrow will be different. Yeah.
Yeah,
So just because today doesn't equal tomorrow, the past doesn't equal the future. Just because you might be feeling a bit low today, there are things you can do about it to make. Because when it's
yeah,
a rainy day, if you wrap up warm, it's going to be a fucking great day. Yeah, it's going to be nice. You can stay warm, and there's things you can do on a day where you feel a bit down
yeah.
to spin that for yourself. But tomorrow will be different as well.
Oh,
You know what I mean?
100%.
It's so important that you have that in your mind. This too shall pass.
Yeah, definitely, 100%.
So
Um,
take me up to what made you actually decide to go on the show, because it sounds like the person that we're speaking about you were nurturing the seed of that
yeah,
confidence, but we must have
yeah.
come on so far to
Oh
take
my
you on
gosh.
the show.
Yeah, so with the whole SAS thing, it was obviously I like to call it a self-development journey, that whole
Fucking
thing
always, forever. We're always on it.
going through. Yeah. So with this whole journey, I had already accomplished a few things. And it was all going so well. But obviously there's always room for improvement all the time, always. And I think that's another thing. You are never going to be too good for anything. You're never going to be perfect as well. And every time you get a goal, there will always be a next goal.
Good.
So
Thank God. Do you know what I mean? That there
yeah,
is
yeah,
no complete.
always.
Thank God we've always got things that we
Oh,
can move
definitely,
towards.
definitely. So when the whole SAS thing came about, and I was just like, this will really, really challenge everything that I had put myself to accomplish in my life
Yeah.
with my goals and things like that. So all the things that, self-belief, all those things that I had put into perspective and into action of working towards, I was like, wow, this is actually a time to test whether I've actually done a good job,
Yeah.
or if I'm not even there yet. Or I want to just know how I'm going to cope with this, like I want to know how it's going to affect me, or it's going to make me or break me. Do I still have it in me? Even though you've done all this stuff, you still question yourself. Have I done enough? Am I still that strong person?
Yeah.
You still question that deep down inside, even though you keep pushing through. So I think
Well,
the
this
whole
is a
essay,
new hybrid version of you as well. This is an
yeah,
evolution. This is another. Yes, you've got
yeah,
all those layers of strength beneath you, but now you've also got these tools. You know what it's like to have a setback, and what can I use these tools to do with?
exactly. So this is and it was also the first time that I had brought everything to light with my life and
Yeah.
with everything I've been through. It was the first time that I was actually talking about it to someone, because I've never ever, like, it happened to me, but no one, like I said, I never told my friends and family that I was going through depression that bad,
Yeah.
or the story behind everything. No one really knew, and I didn't really want to say anything, because obviously when you're there and going through it, you don't want to talk about it, you don't want to bring
No.
it up. you're
'Cause you
scared
don't
it's
think
going
it's going to make a difference. You don't think it's going to help. It's just like, I don't
yeah,
really. It's like injury now. I don't want to keep telling people that you don't. I'm like, I'm working on it. All right, I'm trying to
yeah,
get better. I don't just want to fucking talk to somebody about
yeah,
it. It's not going to make a difference. I'm just trying to get better.
100%. So you know what? I saw it as like, have I battled it right? Has it happened? I think I'm ready to talk about it as well. And it was like
Wow.
so many things in one. It was like people live through this stuff, go through shit like this. And I'm like, this can help other people. You know, I'm at a point where I can speak about it now. Maybe it's going to help someone. Like, I don't care about
Definitely,
that
definitely
anymore.
will.
Yeah, and I'm ready to talk about it because sometimes I still see people, you know, back then I would see people and they'll be like, wow, Hillary, you're so strong and always like motivated. How do you do it and stuff? And I don't like people thinking that I'm immortal, like, you know, like because
Yeah,
I'm
yeah, yeah.
like you.
Well, they see the highlight reel, and you're like, you're
Yeah,
fucking joking. I was an absolute shower of shit. I was just like, I was,
a
just
hundred
fumbling around in the
percent,
bottom of the bin, going, oh, what,
hundred
what,
percent.
what have I actually accumulated in this life? Fucking, I've got a fucking biscuit, I've got a used bus ticket, and I've got some fucking tape. Do you know what I mean? And
Yeah,
oh god,
a
you know
hundred
what I mean?
percent.
And
And
they
people
and all they
almost,
see is that when you're achieving.
oh yeah, definitely. So when people see me now, they're like, "Wow, like you're so amazing," or like you're a natural at this. You are so like you are always on point. How do you do it? You're sick and all this, and they don't know the bloody hard work that I've actually, or the shit that I've been through
Yeah.
for me to be here
The
right now.
valleys,
And
baby.
you know what I'm saying? So, and I think that is a thing that people need to know, that everyone goes through shit. Not everyone is here, maybe living their best self because of shit that's happened to them, because of things that they've had to battle, because of things that discomfort they've had to go through. Not everyone is a perfect life, and you know, you battle through your stuff. So yeah, anyways, I had gone through, I was like, I'm ready to talk about it, I'm ready to put myself, and this was going to be another like out of my comfort zone thing, because
Yeah.
talking to a camera as well, you know, that confident stuff. And
Yeah,
I was like,
yeah.
oh my gosh, this is another thing, being on camera, talking about it. That's one thing that not a lot of people, like, I haven't, not a lot of people know that I hate. Like, before this, I would hate a flipping camera. I would hate a
Everybody does.
picture.
Honestly, it's the number
Isn't
one
it?
global fear. Public speaking is the
Hate
number one
it.
fear in the world.
Hate. Oh, I completely hate speaking in public as well. In my When I was in secondary school, you know, when they make you read out aloud in the
Yeah,
class,
yeah, yeah.
and I'm like, I will be literally shaking in anxiety when like the teacher would call my name, and
Yeah.
it was so hard. And again, those are things I've battled through to get there, you know. So, anyways, it was yeah, so I knew that I had been through a dark place and everything, and I'm like, you know what, this is time to test myself, challenge myself, and do something for me for the first time,
Fuck
because I
yeah.
feel like all the stuff that I had done in my past was never for me. It was
Yeah.
always for somebody else. It was always to like make someone happy or make someone proud of myself, of me, make someone
Yeah.
proud of me. This time, for the first time in my life, I felt that this was actually me proving to me what I can do, not that person or this one or that one. It was, I had didn't get, this was nothing to do with anyone ever, like
God, I
ever.
love that.
That was the first time I felt that. So it did mean a lot to me, like being here,
Yeah.
there, and like being able to do it and be proud of myself. And I did not care about anyone else. I don't care if anyone else was proud of me, because before, that's why I was living the stuff that I was living before, because all I cared was about, I want you to be proud of me, I'm doing this so you can see me, and I want you to guide like me, I want the attention, I
Yeah,
want this,
yeah,
I'm a
yeah.
victim, I'm this, you know. So your
Yeah.
mind changes. And for the first time ever, I was doing this because I wanted to prove to myself as well, like, that I'm getting over, I'm killing all these negative thoughts, and I'm like getting out of this mental state where you're so locked up in your mind and everything. Like, I
Yeah.
want to see how I feel, I want to see my limits, I want to feel what challenges are going to get me, like, you know, you almost want to test yourself, and you just want to see how you're going to cope with it.
Yeah.
And I was just ready to do that. And I
So that
feel
idea
like
of wanting to do it, but then really doing it is a big shift change. So when you finally got there, you know, we all arrived in
very big.
Vietnam those first few days, and you know, we were on them little boats going down a river, and you're like,
Oh my God, it's
fucking
so
here,
scary.
it's fucking, we're here, it's real. There's people, and there's other recruits, and there's freaking cameras, and there's snakes, and there's jungle. Shit the bed.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. And sometimes it's like, oh my God, what the hell have I got myself into? Like, what am I doing here? You
How
do
did you
have those
find that
little
first
thoughts.
day? You know, like when we got
Oh
there and
my.
and then we
So
had to jump off the boats and it was,
imagine, like, obviously, you know that the water was like the thing that was
yeah,
going to get the most. So as soon as it said jump off, I'm like, for fuck's
fucking
sake.
hell.
I was like, what a way to start, flipping hell. But you know what? Like, surprisingly, I actually swam all right to
Yeah,
the other side. You know, obviously I wasn't the fastest, but
yeah.
I got there and I was like, oh, thank God. But my heart was literally coming out my throat when they were like, jump off. And I'm like, shoot. But you know, it was fine. And it was good that we jumped straight into the water, like straight into the deep end for me anyways, as soon as you got there, because then it sets you up for the rest of the whole thing. And it's like, okay, I know I can jump into water and swim in it now.
Yeah.
You're all good to go. So next time there's a water thing, you're fine with it. So yeah, and then obviously we got there, but obviously we were in quarantine. The funniest thing for me was like we
That
were in
was, yeah.
quarantine
People don't know that. You know, people won't have seen that bit. We for like 5 or 6 days by ourselves, weren't we? Just locked
exactly.
up
We're
doing.
in
That's it.
Yeah, we were in quarantine, and obviously, I think for a lot of people, it was like, I just want to get this shit over and done with now. Just get
Yeah.
me in there. So, like, when it got time to go, everyone was excited. And I remember we were on the bus, we were like, yeah, we're finally there. Like, we're going to do this. I'm so excited. As soon as we get there, beasting. Oh, you fucking go down the fucking stairs and do press ups. I was like, oh. Straight away wiped everyone's smiles off their faces. They were like, yeah, that's it. Everyone all of a sudden went serious. Like it was straight into beasting, and I was like,
Well, and then we were like, we did all because we stayed in our kit for a lot of that day. It was straight into the crawling through the swamp and then through the jungle
yeah,
bit and then carrying each other and
yeah,
and like that
it was
was,
back.
yeah, it was an intense start to it.
It was intense, man. I was like, whoa, this is mad. I was like,
How did you feel
thinking,
that first one with everybody else? Because obviously you were 20 strangers you don't know, and
yeah. What, the first beasting or the first in
just the first
general?
few days, you know, that when you were, you
It
know,
was
getting into the
weird.
accommodation with people we didn't know, and you know,
Yeah.
it was
You
all
know
kind of
what?
happening.
And that's what I say to like like to everyone that when we were there, I say to people when they ask me, I feel like that was hard for me, like to other people it might be easy, but I didn't even sleep for the first 3 days. And I remember telling
Really?
everyone I couldn't sleep because just the environment and the jungle noises and the crickets that sounded like they were screaming in your ear. Like for me, it was
Yeah.
so loud. And you're lying on this piece of plastic almost,
Yeah.
and you're like uncomfortable in your military baggy trousers. And like, do you know what I mean? You're used to like being
Yeah.
comfortable, having your nice plushy cushion and your
Yeah.
covers, like you get there, you're in a room full of 20 people that obviously like you can talk to, but they're not really like your friends.
You
They're
don't
just
know
like
them. Yeah.
you know what I mean,
Don't
like
know anybody.
you're not really like, yeah, it's all good, but you have to get on with them, and you have to sleep in this place that you've never been before, and it's flipping hot. And it was just so much to take in, for me it
So
was
much
almost
overload. Yeah.
overwhelming, and I just couldn't switch off, and my head was just like, I don't know, it was just up, and it was overwhelmed. And obviously with the bee stings and everything, you're pounding your body, and my mind was still active. And I have this thing where where if I train really hard, I find it hard to switch off at night.
Yeah.
So I'm always used to having my chamomile tea before I go to bed. You're unwinding, and
Yeah, yeah,
you know
100%.
what? It
Well, so
sounds
many people have. No, it's not. Every people had their
it.
routines, and there was
Exactly.
none. There was
It
nothing.
almost sounds like, oh, Hillary, you're flipping posh this, but it
No, no,
just
no,
felt like
no.
that's what I do to unwind myself, like to get a good
I
night's sleep.
remember you asking about that. Actually, you were like, "I'd smash some chamomile tea if anyone's, where's the freaking little sachets?"
In it. And I was just like, man, so all that, I did not sleep for 3 days. all this about the food as well. You know, some people weren't
Did
going
you have any
toilet.
thoughts at those points, like, because you're 3 days in and you're not sleeping? Did you think like, oh God,
Yeah,
can I keep this up? This is
yeah.
fucking early
I
days here.
When it got to day 4, I already thought I'm not gonna get through this. I thought
Really?
to myself, yeah. And I don't know if you saw me at one point when I got on the bus, and even Billy asked me, "What's wrong? Are you okay? Like, you get yourself together. Like, what the fuck is going on? Get yourself together and get on the bus and get ready to go again." And when I got on the bus, I was literally in tears because I was like, and also the how you're feeling. And for example, if you're feeling down, it's not like there's someone there that's familiar that you can be like, oh my gosh, I need to talk to you. You know, you're with and obviously you're not strangers. Obviously, you can talk to everyone,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
some
But
people find it harder than others to talk to people when you don't know them like that as
absolutely,
well.
yeah.
So I was almost a bit like, oh my gosh, I was overwhelmed, I was emotional, I was sad, I was tired, I was thinking about my little one. It was the first time that I've ever
Yeah,
left her. You
yeah.
know what I mean? So long and not knowing anything about her. I was almost getting this mother guilt feeling because obviously I'm her only parent. I was like, I should be over there with her. Why am I here feeling like shit, feeling sad? I'm not enjoying this, but it was because I was
That's
so
what did
tired.
Anne, that was the one where Anne, that was the final sort of moment for Anne where she was like, you know what, I've had my adventure. I want to be with
Oh,
my babies and all that sort of stuff. So what changed for you after that moment? Because something must have helped you
yeah.
flip that mindset.
So I think that was the day that we went down the cave and everything.
Ah,
No, it wasn't.
that's a long way into it. That
No,
was.
that wasn't the day. I'm lying. It wasn't the day before that. So that night, I actually managed to sleep that night.
Wow.
That night where I was feeling down and everything. And it was the day where we were going through like a long journey on the bus. It was like 2 hours. And then Joshua, Josh, yeah,
Yeah.
saw that I was crying, and then he kind of spoke to me, and he was like, you know what, Hillary, I know how you feel. We kind of had a heart to heart, and that helped me. And it was like, wow, like you don't expect it to work, but it
Josh is a
helped me.
good man. Yeah.
Just like, yeah, he was telling me the same. As like, I know exactly how you feel, man. And he was like, trust me, it's hard, and I'm feeling it as well. But your baby is fine. She's out there with her gran and her sisters and her friends. She's having a blast. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
if anything, you're the one that's suffering more than them. They're
Yeah.
young. They're like, you know what I mean? And I was like, you know what? That's so true. And I'm like, I know she's fine. I know that, like, she's totally fine. And I know it's my mind trying to play mind games with me. Obviously, you start trying to talk yourself through this.
Do yeah.
And start, like, what I've learned was analyze your situation all the time. Analyze how you're feeling, why you're feeling, what the real facts are, what are the hard facts, and what are just emotions and feelings. And it was just separating the two. And I was like, the hard facts are that she is totally fine.
Mm-hmm.
She's with people that love her.
Yeah.
There's no one that love her like she.
Mm.
And I always say this joke that my mom is like her mom, and I'm like, "Rah, she loves you
Yeah.
more than me because she's
Yeah,
always
yeah, yeah,
loved me with
100%.
her."
You always have that with
And
grandparents. I'm always
isn't
like, I
it?
think about my mum and dad. I'm like, you were never that fucking nice to me. Why are you so good to your granddaughter? You know what I mean? I'm like,
Exactly,
you love
isn't
her more
it?
than you love me.
It all changes. So yeah, so I was just like, those are the hard facts. Is that she is having a blast. And because when we were in quarantine, I was on the phone. I was FaceTiming her a lot, and she would just say hi, mama, and then run off to play. And I
Yeah.
was like, hello, like, can I get some mom time, please? And I was always trying to call her, and she was disregarding me because she was playing and
Having
entertained
an
and everything.
adventure. Yeah.
Exactly. And I would think the hard facts are she's actually having a blast because I've seen it. I was in quarantine for 10 days.
Yeah.
I was always trying to talk to her. So, anyways, I kind of got myself together that night. I had an amazing night's sleep. I slept all night, and I was like, I don't wake up once, and I woke up feeling fresh.
Nice.
And I was like, woke up and I was like, yeah, everything is good. My daughter is good. I'm good. Like, everything
Love
is
it.
fine. What the hell was wrong with me? Oh, you're so silly, man. We're here. We got this. Like, you start like
Awesome.
talking into yourself, into your mind and stuff. So yeah, when I got up, and that day, it was the cave day. It was the cave day, and then I went down the cave. Right, obviously, I was still flipping tired,
Yeah.
like every day. My body was domed out
How was your body holding up? Because I mean, by that point, like Scott had his feet, and there was a few people who had stroke and heat stress, and Amelia had gone, and there
was so much.
Few people, Levi had problems with his groin. Obviously, I'd had a random injury. There was a few people.
It was a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot. Some people had some different things. How was your body holding up?
Number one was my shoulder. So I've always had my shoulder was dislocated.
You had a shoulder strap on quite a bit, didn't you? Yeah.
Yeah, because it dislocated like 5 years ago. So ever since then, it comes in and out. So it was painful, man, but I was still all right doing my stuff. I was still like fine. I just wasn't focusing on that because I knew if I focused on it, it could get me out. And I was like, no, forget that pain is normal. And I know how to manage it almost and things like that. So my feet were surprisingly okay. It wasn't until I think the last 2 or 3 days where I was like, oh my gosh, yes, my flesh is starting to scrape through now. And then I started feeling my feet, but a lot of people felt that so much earlier on, and honestly, like when you get that, that's it. Like it's not gonna
that's a ticking time bomb then. Exactly. It started to decline. It doesn't get better. They're constantly moist, they're constantly dry. I'd lucky enough I'd had 15 years in fucking fire boots and military boots, every day on shift and stuff like that, so my feet were fucking like rhino's feet, to be honest with you. They were and it's all those little things where you just make those assumptions, like I thought my feet will be fine, my body will be fine. It surprises you, but your feet held up until just like them last few days then.
So surprisingly it was the last few days, and it was like, oh, you know what, it's now I'm starting to feel everything people were feeling earlier on, and I was like, oh damn, and it was not until the last day where I was like, oh my gosh, I can't walk.
Really?
But obviously, the last day I was like, oh, like we couldn't walk. All of our feet were done out, and I was even in tears because I was like, we had just finished the interrogation, and we just had
How did you find the interrogation? Yeah, because not everybody made it through that.
It's horrible. That was the hardest thing. That was the thing I hated I really did not like that. I hated that.
You did it. How did you do it?
If you hated it so much? I don't know. You know what? And I still think about it now, and I think, how the hell did I make it through that?
What were you thinking about? What were you focusing on?
Do you know what? I actually don't even know. That's how effed up. It was like I feel like I was in and out of dreams and in and out of consciousness, because when you're there, you almost don't know what's going on. Like I don't know. I honestly don't know how. It's all a blur.
And I don't know if I'm reaching here, but I'm wondering, like, is there because they say like your superpower sits directly next to your scar. That's something I always try and say to people. And I'm wondering if, and tell me if this is complete bullshit, but like, because you had unfortunately spent so much time like day after day in a place of depression and in quite a dark place, you had become unfortunately comfortable with, like, if you're put in a situation where it's like, this is really shit, well, you're like, yeah, well, this is really shit, and I'm just going to exist in something that's really shit. And you were just able to just keep going through that, because most people are like, oh God, this is really shit, I can't keep doing this. But you're like, no, this is really fucking shit, and I remember I've been here. Or like, it allows you to let time pass, even though, like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, you can do 2 days like that. You can do 8 hours like that because you've been there. I don't know.
Wow, you know what? Like, I've never linked it to that before, but now that you're saying it, wow, because I do feel like it's somewhat true. Like, your head has been through so much darkness and so much time of being alone and lonely. It almost grows resilient to it. And like you were saying, like I was saying before, you train your mind to go through things. Your mind has already been through that. It's already trained through depression. You've trained it already to go through the shithole. So yeah, when you're there, and and obviously that was much worse than being in that situation in interrogation and being there for.
Because in the back of your mind is still like, I'm on a TV show and I'm not gonna die. Whereas before you're like, I could just fucking go into a hole here. My family might give up on me eventually, and then I'll just fucking kill myself because life is not gonna get any better.
It's so true, and I think that's what. And I do remember saying to myself a few times, like, "This is a show. This is a show." Like, I
Yeah.
do remember saying that, but like when I was there, even right now, like telling you what I was actually thinking, it's all a blur. Like, I actually don't know
It's
what
crazy.
was in my head. Like, it's all like I really don't know, but what you're saying is so true, and I do believe that it's got to do something with that because I don't even know how I got through. At some points, I even felt like I was falling asleep as well.
Oh yeah.
And they put you through these stress positions. They're like, get up, da, 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 and all this. And yeah, at the beginning though, I do remember at the beginning when I first got in there, I was like thinking about the outside world. Oh, I wonder how this person is doing. I wonder how that person, and then just thinking about life and like all
Yeah.
this. I only think about it so much that after
Yeah.
that, like, oh shit, I thought about all the good positive things. What else is there to think about? So
Ah,
yeah, then after you almost start hallucinating as well. Like it was so funny because I was speaking to Josh at the end of it, and he was like, "I could see faces," and I was like, "You know what? I know exactly what you mean because I can see the same as well." And I was like,
yeah.
"No matter if you close your eyes or open your eyes, it's still pitch black. So literally, your mind is open to like anything. Like you can
Yeah.
literally see random stuff. Like, and these noises are so horrible. Like it doesn't help as well, you know." But I think a mix between being there in the stress position and everything and the actual people that were interrogating me, I think that was really tough because if you know me as a person, I'm not an argumentative person. I don't lose my temper. I'm not an angry person. I'm always I don't like confrontation.
No, well,
So
again, your life, and again, without getting too personal, you'd been in situations where confrontation equals pain, so you trained
oh
yourself to
yeah,
avoid it.
exactly, 100%. So where I've had this man, bald, tall, hench, horrible guy, swearing at me and screaming in my face. I've never had that in my life, you know.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh, I really hate this. And like, that's one of the things that I do, obviously, because you have to be like, you can't say much and it's part of everything. I really don't. I really like. I felt like I was gonna cry. Like that's how
Really?
horrible. Yeah, and I don't
Oh,
know why. I think this intimidation thing it really gets to me, and it's like, and that's the soft side of me, I guess. But I feel like that made me tougher after though, and
yeah.
that I wanted because I feel like I'm too soft sometimes, and I do want to toughen up, and it was like. It was so harsh, and they even threw a bucket of ice cold water over me. Well, they made Joshua throw it all over me,
Did
and I
they?
was, yeah, it
Ah,
was
you know what?
so,
I don't think other people know that because, like, they
yeah,
made Faye do that to not Becca,
Jessica.
Danica. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
they for Danica, like for Danica and Faye, they thought that was born around this whole like people not getting on with each other, people lying,
No,
people blah 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 blah. But they also made you guys do it to each other as well. Wow.
but I feel like that they do things on purpose. Obviously, they knew that me and Josh were like close.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
I think me and Josh, out of like obviously everyone, we got along with everyone, but I feel
Yeah,
like me
no,
and
but yeah, yeah, you're right.
Josh,
Yeah.
yeah, we had each other, and he like we got heart to heart, me and Josh,
Yeah.
and they chose me and Josh, and they chose Josh to put the flipping ice bucket cold water over me.
Yeah.
And I was like, it was just so, it was horrible, but and I could see why they would choose Faye and
Yeah, there
Denise.
was some tension there because Danica was
Yeah,
properly like, I don't trust that bitch. You know, she was fucking like, because there was a few bits, there's a few bits of tension going on, and it will be interesting to see how much of it comes in the show. But like,
yeah,
yeah, it was
yeah,
upsetting as well because it was sad to see the
yeah.
team
Of
had
course,
started to
of course.
deteriorate a little bit like
And
that.
even for example, the boxing, they made Levi and Josh
Yeah,
do fight each other because they were close as well.
yeah,
So I feel like yeah, they see these things and they do it on purpose to make things harder, and So, anyways, even that after that happened, and literally when they put the bag over my head, I was in tears. I didn't let no
oh,
one see me cry, but I was like, oh my God, like I was so cold and I felt so horrible. But like when no one cares,
yeah,
when it's like you can't do nothing, no one cares, suck it
yeah,
in. Like but you're so tired and hungry, and you almost do feel sorry for yourself. But I felt so horrible, like, and I was shivering. I was so cold after that, and I was literally standing in the place where they're like got you all like covered up and putting you in stress position. I was literally shaking, like, because I was so cold. But and it's like you can't do nothing. You just have to suck it in, and I
But you know
hate
what though? But honestly, like that is not. It's true, but it's not true. And I just want to pause there for a second because
it.
you have got such a mindset. And again, I think it's because of what you've been through in the past. Because in the past, giving up was not an option because no one's going to fix this shit. But in that situation, actually, there was an option because you're saying like there's no option. There is an option. You could have fucking quit.
Yeah,
But you were
there
so
was.
trained. Whereas most other people and people that perhaps did voluntarily withdraw had been in situations where they could always tap out, they could always give up, they could always someone else. But for you, it was
Like
at no point during this conversation have you said that where you're like, everything you keep saying is there was no choice. Well, there was a choice, but to you, there was no choice. I love that.
You know what? And it's so true. But you know how I always see things is there's only one way, and it's the way that you're going to win. And if it's the way that you're going to go up, there is no choice. Like,
love that. No,
so
you're
you know
right.
what? It's the point that you said that, and that is so true. You know, like I didn't even think of it that way because when I went on the show, for me in my head is like, we're on this show because we want to get to the end.
100%.
That's what it is. And so don't get me wrong, at some points I'll say to myself, you know what, just take it as you go. You're gonna do an experience, this and that. Like, but deep down inside, I knew I wanted to get to the end, you know, without putting too much pressure on myself and everything. I was like, we're here to prove to yourself something. And if you really want to prove to yourself that you can do this shit, you'll get to the end. So
That
it
is
was
just so true, and that is. My wife's even said the same thing to me. She said like the irony is, she said the only thing you said, you were like, I'll just keep putting one foot in front of the other. It's not fucking rocket science. She says, you know, the only thing that was going to stop you was going to be if you couldn't put one foot in front of the other. And the fucking irony of snapping a tendon was just like, I knew it was going to have to be something that if I wouldn't be able to walk. If I could walk, I would be finishing. And I was like, that was such a thing for me. And you're so right. And it's exactly what you did. I love that.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. No, it's so true. So that's kind of like what I had in my head. And don't get me wrong. Sometimes I'll be like, oh damn, is it time to get out of here now? Like, but it wasn't even like. And as soon as that will come in my head, it's like, no, you've been here for all that time. You're shivering. You've done all this. Hold it a little bit longer. We're gonna get there. We're gonna get there. You know. So yeah, like that.
So after interrogation, you still had a couple more bits to do. That was like the final little surprise, wasn't it? There was a few little extra bits to go.
Yeah, it was so horrible. I hated it. You know, it was like and you come out of the interrogation, and you speak to the umpire, and then they said you've completed this round. Okay, like off you go. It's not like, you know, well, like, and because it was the hardest thing, and then the DSs look at you after they take the bag off your head. They're like, you made it. Get back up there and get fucking ready for the next one. And it's like, hello, I've just done the most hardest thing ever. Can you just like please like take it easy? Can you just chill, please? Like, can I get a break? Can I breathe? Can I like, you know what I mean? And it was just straight away like, yeah, get ready for the next one. I was like, can I go to like have a 30-minute nap, please, at least before I go out again? Like, it was none of that. They literally have no sympathy for you. They don't care. Wow. And and that got me because our feet were effed up. And the DSs that all of us couldn't walk. We were like, we're done. We can't walk. Like, it's so bad. And they're like, we're just going to send the doctor. If you can't carry on, you're going to have to VW. That's nothing to do with us, you know? And I was like, and the doctor came and he was like, the only thing that I can do is give you bandages. There's absolutely nothing you can do with your feet. The only thing that's going to make it better is if they're in a dry environment. So you just need to get out of here. And obviously, you know, the only way you can get out of here is if you VW. And the tears came down my face because I was like, I've just been through this bullshit interrogation where I hated every minute of it. And now I'm in a place where I can't walk, and you're telling me that all you can do is bandage it up, and I don't know what we're going to do next. And I was like thinking, I don't know if I'm going to do this. I don't know if I'm going to get through. For the first time, I think in the whole thing, I actually said, I don't. And I said to everyone, crying, I was like, guys, I don't think I'm gonna be able to do this. Like, I was literally in tears.
Really?
And this is what I mean, where Josh is my heart to heart guy, you know. He looked at me and he was like, are you mad? He was like, you've got through this whole stage to not do the final bit to finish off. And I was like looking at him and I was like, Josh, man, if you understood how I feel. He was like, I understand how you feel, girl. I'm in the same situation. Yeah. That's why he's my guy. So he was like, are you mad? I'm not going to let you stop now. Like, you got one more bit, girl. Like, you'll be crazy not to do it. So he literally got my feet and just wrapped it up in tape. Like, he literally made socks out of that tape on my feet. And I stood up and I was like, let me see. And I could walk in it. And I was like, you know what? If it's the last bit, let's see if this holds up. And I was like, let's just get in there and see what happens. So after that, we got in. Obviously, we had no idea what we had to do. And it was just like another beasting, basically. We had to go carry some, like, you know, those, what's it called?
Sandbags.
Those suitcases, those army suitcases above your head, like carry it for God knows how many K up hills, run up to it. And it was like they were making us race each other. So there was 4 of us. There was Grant, Faye, Joshua, and me. So they were just like, get up there as fast as you can to the next DS. Get to the next DS. They tell us to get onto the bus for like a few minutes, jump out, run, grab a sandbag, sprint, run as quick as you can to the next DS. Get to the next one, they change you, get in the bus, onto the next thing. I think the next one was like, oh yeah, run this 1K run as quick as you can to the next DS. So you're literally racing, all 4 of us are racing each other. So you run, you sprint to the next DS. The DS shows you a boat. They're like, sprint to that boat as quick as you can and jump in. You get in that boat. The boat like takes you to some other place. Obviously stops a few meters away from the shore, and then the DS is like, jump in and swim, let's go. So you run, jump in, swim to the end. When you get there, they're like, get out quick, climb up the hill, like climb up the hill as quick as you can. Obviously we're always racing each other. They're like, who's gonna get it, and they proper like psych, you know how they psych you up. They're like, which one is slow, who's the slowest, who's the fastest, come on, we're here to win. So literally climb up to the top, and at this point I don't even feel my feet, man. I don't even feel my body, let alone anything. Like, I'm just going through the motions at this point. Imagine you haven't slept. I haven't slept in like 2-3 days at this point. I haven't eaten. Like, I'm flipping dying. My feet are about to fall apart. Like, and you're literally just going and going and going. And you know what? And that's another thing that's like showed me as well. Like, it is all in your mind. You tell your body what to do and it follows you. You make it happen in your head, because I think about it now and I'm like, how the hell did I do all that? And you're so tired. My body, my DOMs were killing, like my muscles were aching, my legs were shaking. I felt like throwing up. I was like, I don't know how I did it. Most of the time, I don't get it. I think it was adrenaline or whatever in my body, because it was like, oh my gosh, like, this is unreal. So we get there and finally it was the end. And then they don't tell you, though. They're like, right, stand there and keep facing that direction. So you're hoping, please don't say another beasting. Please don't say something else. Please. Like, you're praying for it to be done. And then finally they called us up and they were like, okay, it's time for the truth now. Like, we're going to choose who's worthy of being in the SAS and all that. And you know what? It was just mad when it actually happened. It was just crazy. It was like, wow. And then obviously they chose the people. They chose me, Grant, and Joshua. And I was like, whoa, this is unreal. And as soon as that's done and they clap for you and applaud you and the whole production team come out, it's all done. The cameras are away. Everyone's real now. It's like, oh my gosh, it's humans. The DSs are like smiling. They're not horrible to you anymore. They're like, guys, you smashed it. Well done. Like everyone, like all the team, the producers, the director, everyone comes out and they're like, wow, guys, so amazing. You know, those cameramen that always had that horrible, serious face all the time. And they looked at you like, these people stink, or they didn't want to be around you or anything. You see? Okay, that's all right. They were like, they were so nice to you. Tissue, okay. You see, now I have my little one now, so it's gonna be. So yeah, it was just all of a sudden, it was like, wow. It was like, wow, these people are actually human. It was actually a show. It was a show, guys, and we made it, you know. We're just so happy, and everyone was hugging each other. It was almost emotional as well. Like we were actually having real conversations finally with the DSs, with everyone. All Katrina and the girls came out as well.
God.
And yeah, and then we could finally like be us. We were like, wow, I'm Hillary now. I'm not number 4. I'm Hillary. And yeah, and it was just like, it was, the feeling was unreal. It was unreal. It was like at the end, everyone wanted to take pictures and everything. And even though like my feet were dying and everything, it was like, wow, like this is
you can go at your pace.
Exactly.
Move at your pace.
Exactly. But yeah, it was just.
So how have you found coming back, and how have you found like adapting to being mummy again, and what do you think's changed for you? How, you know, you've had so many shifts in perspective through your life. What has this done for you? How do you look at things now?
So when I came back, obviously I had to get back into like a routine, and at the beginning it was like tough because I was so tired. And with me, I'm a person that I like to be organized and planned and have a routine. That's how my body works, and that's how I work to my best potential. So when I came back, it was just about sleeping and spending time with my little one. So I was literally sleeping 14 hours every day for like 3 or 4 days. I'm not even lying. 13, 14 hours. And I was like so tired. So obviously when I get in, it was like, you're really unproductive and you don't really feel you don't really feel like you just want SAS or you just want anything because you're so tired, like literally. And I wanted to tell everyone, and you know, you're so excited, but I was so drained. I couldn't even, coming back to social media and coming back to like the phone and the messages, I really didn't feel like that I wanted to do that. It's so weird because you get used to not even having your phone with you. So even doing that, I didn't even feel like doing that. I just needed to sleep. And it was like, I know I want to say yes, but guys, can I just sleep for the next few days? And they're like, can I relax? So obviously after that, when you're done, it was like, wow, like when I came back, I did appreciate life and everything I have so much more. I was like, wow, life is actually beautiful. And I was more relaxed. I was like more at peace. And again, just that feeling of gratefulness and thinking about all the things that I had done. And again, because I'm you're getting all in the back now, you see. You're getting it all now. But it was you know, like I like to analyze myself all the time and see what's happening with me, because that's just, you know, that's how I set myself goals, and that's how I know if I'm doing well or not. So I was just analyzing everything, and I'm like, wow, I just did one of the toughest things I've done. So like, not ever, but so far, 100%. Like in this time where I am, and I'm really grateful for it, and I'm happy that I did it, and I don't regret it, and it has helped my life so much more. It was like all the little things have helped me, because I'll give you an example. I went boxing training the other day, and I've recently started taking up boxing, and I might do a fight soon and stuff like that.
Wow.
And I know it's a bit mad. So that's my next goal, is to have a fight.
That's incredible.
Anyway, I know.
You got some great people in your corner as well, you know.
Oh yeah,
of course.
100%. So anyway, so then where I went training one day, and my coach, he knows, so there's these girls that are pro boxers, and my coach knew that before this, every time he would say, you're going to spar today, day, I'll be like, oh, all right then, cool, let's go. Like I'll have that little bit of
Yeah.
panic in me. So then when I came back, and then he looked at me one day and he was like, right, Hillary, you're gonna spar today. And I looked at him and I was like, okay. And then he looked at me and he looked at me weird and funny, and then he laughed, and then he was like, I'm joking. And I looked at him and I was like, and I felt it straight away. And I was like, you know what, Sultan? There was a few weeks ago, I would wake up in the morning and they'll tell me you're jumping off a helicopter now, and I would just have to do it. So now, if you're gonna tell me to do something there and then in the moment, I'm not phased by it. I've already been through all the madness. Do you know what I mean? You go when you're in the course, and you go and you don't even know what you're gonna do. And do you remember at the beginning, everyone will be like, "Oh my gosh, what do you think it is? What's gonna happen? What do you think we're gonna do?" By the end of it, people weren't even chatting, because they knew that there's no point of like questioning or doing anything. You had to do it regardless. So it was it was a different mindset. It was like, whatever comes, you have to do it there and then. So anyways, things like that. And I think that I can use that and add that to my day-to-day life, because I'm always a person as well that I always like to plan and sometimes overthink and think of different scenarios that could happen for this thing, like, and it's all a waste of brain energy and a waste of like mind space. It doesn't matter what you're going to do, just when it gets to it, you deal with it, and that's it. And it's so efficient and so like different,
being present.
Exactly, that's it. Live in the present moment. And that's one of the biggest things that I've got from it, like live in the present, because I'm always like, okay, I've got this plan. What are we going to do? What are we going to do tomorrow? What's going to happen here? Oh no, this happened yesterday, and I'm still thinking about how I felt about that yesterday. Forget yesterday. Yesterday's done. This is today. This is right now. Yeah. And tomorrow hasn't even come. So forget about thinking about that as well. You're in this moment. Deal with what you have right now. So that's a very big one for me, and that's helped me a lot so far. And I'm like, we live in that into perspective right now, and I've seen already what power it has. Like, that's one of the things that I've taken, and I could just see, like, when you see and you're like, this is a good thing for my life that I've taken on with me.
It's fucking huge.
Yeah, very, very big.
So you've got the fighting, you've got, being back to mummy. What are the other small or big goals? Because I mean, we're in October now. People probably won't see or hear this until like January, February. Who do you think Hillary will be at that time, and what sort of stuff are we going to be seeing now that you continue to sort of grow in those confidence and put those daily blocks in place?
You know what? I haven't, and I think I'm still working on that, but I know that what I'm living right now. It's okay. Sorry, my little one is getting a bit.
Okay.
It's okay. Yeah. So I'm going through another phase, and I feel it and stuff, and I do feel stronger. I do feel a bit more fierce. I feel like I can be myself, and that's like one of the biggest things I've always wanted. And I feel like I can express myself much better, and I'm open with myself, and I'm so transparent, and I'm so much better at talking to people more and being out there and not being afraid or scared of what anyone thinks about me anymore. Like, I'm an open book, and for the first time ever, I feel like I can do that peacefully, and I feel like I can take a deep breath, and I'm not like underwater, just about living. And that is a major big thing for me, and I feel like coming on to what's coming is that I want to be able to inspire people and to show people that you can get there. And whether that's, and I don't know how I'm going to do that, but whether
You're already doing it. You're already doing it. Don't overthink it.
The story,
your ability to just be honest and be humble and just be transparent is such an aspiring thing for so many people to achieve when we're living behind these masks. It's such an inspiring thing to be able to be that open and that honest, and just that that vulnerable, really.
Yeah, no, 100%. And that's what I always say. Like, it doesn't matter about what people think or what people say. This is my life, and I'm acceptant of who I am. I'm here now because of my experiences, but they don't define who I am. I'm living my life at the best potential that I've made it to be, you know? And every day I'm aspiring to be better and better. And maybe when the show comes out next year, I'll be better than what I am right
Will
now.
be
Do you know what I
100%.
mean?
And you're such a baby. You're so young. Do you know what I mean? I say this about myself as well. I'm like, we are so young, you know, in our 20s, in our
Yeah.
30s, you know, there is so exciting. And I'm so excited to see what you and Josh and the whole team, what everyone goes on to do
100%.
now,
100%.
because we're at such a unique chapter of life. And I really feel honored, you know, to have just been listening and learning to all the chapters that have come before the Hillary that we see before us today. And I'm also so grateful, you know, when we came on, I always say to people, we've tried to get this conversation together for a little while, but it's
Yeah.
so incredible to speak to some of the people that we've been on with, because they were just so honest and open. And we've gone for
Okay.
like 2.5 hours there, and I absolutely love how much it surprises when we start getting into stuff. And it's
Yeah.
inspiring, you know. I'm really, really
Yeah.
thankful for you to be so open and honest and vulnerable, and really appreciate you taking that time away from Leah and away from everything you've got going on. I know she's with us now, and I really appreciate you taking that time away from it.
Oh, it's a pleasure, man. Honestly, I love speaking about it. Also, like I said, because it's only the truth that I'm saying, and that's all we've got, you know, our true, authentic selves. Because there's no
But
point of
isn't it amazing how infectious and exciting and how beautiful? You've just been honest. All you've done is be honest
yeah,
for 2.5 hours.
that's
And that's
it.
why it's
Literally.
flowed so easy, because it's so amazing how easy it is to be honest when people spend
Trust
so
me.
much time trying to hide or trying to put
Oh,
on a
wait,
face or trying to distort
yeah,
somebody's perception of what their life is really like. The very best, most infectious, beautiful, attractive version of you is this honest Hillary that we have in front of us now.
definitely 100%. And yeah, do you know what? Thank you so much, Pete, because I didn't know what to expect from this chat today as well. I was like, what are we gonna talk
What the fuck?
about?
What does he even want to talk about? Well, for like 10 minutes or some shit. Yeah, I'll talk about it if he wants to talk about it. I don't know.
Yeah,
But
no, but
no,
it has.
look, I
Thank
know we
you
probably
so
won't
much.
catch up until I think we're all going to get together at the end of the year. We'll probably end up seeing each other at the thing. But I'm
Yeah,
so
yeah, yeah.
excited to be front row cheering you on as you head into this next
Oh,
chapter.
thank
And I
you
sincerely
so
hope
much.
that, we'll keep touching base.
Oh, 100%. We definitely will. Thanks so much, Pete.
Send my love to Leah, send my love to the family, and I will be on both feet, running and jumping and giving you a big cuddle, hopefully
Oh,
when this
I
next.
love to hear that.
There we
Oh,
go.
okay then. Well,
I'll speak to you
speedy
soon, all right?
recovery. Speak to you soon,
Bye
okay?
bye.
Take care.
Firefighters podcast is put together to develop, inspire, and hopefully even motivate those individuals who have chosen to serve our communities and be part of the first responder family. It's brought to you by myself, operational firefighter Pete Wakefield. If you have enjoyed today's episode and you want to see the podcast continuing, please head over to our Patreon page where you can support the ongoing efforts of the podcast. Please hit that follow, subscribe, or rate button on whatever platform you're listening to. Please support your emergency services responders, and thank you for listening.